Subscribe for more amazing novel audiobooks. Don't forget to like, comment, and share Infinite Novel Audio Chapter 26. Conquer, alas, then I shall follow this saint's command. Thousands of words in the end, Yao Chen only let out a soft sigh, helplessly agreeing. He understood that Zai Tianxiao giving him a chance was already merciful. He couldn't refute, nor was he qualified to refute. If Zai Tianxiao truly wanted to eradicate him, he would have no room to resist at all. The so-called top alchemist of the Central Plains was nothing in front of a half-saint. Zai Tianxiao glanced at Yao Chen indifferently and said, "You don't have to be so pessimistic. To tell you the truth, it won't be long before I truly step into the saint realm, and by then, the benefits you receive will only be more, not less." Hearing Zai Tianxiao's words, Yao Chen was secretly startled, then quickly asked, "So you are already confident about entering the Du Sheng realm?" Although he was only a peak 9-star Du Zun before, he had some understanding of the difficulty for a half-saint powerhouse to advance to Du Sheng. Since Zai Tianxiao said so, he must be an old powerhouse who had lingered in the half-saint realm for a long time. That's right. For me, stepping into Du Sheng is not difficult at all. My goal will not be limited to Du Sheng, but to transcend this world. Zai Tianxiao's tone was calm, but it was filled with infinite confidence, transcending the world. These 4 words appeared in Yao Chen's mind. In today's continent, cultivators who reached the Du Sheng realm were already at the peak of the continent, and to transcend this world. That might be the legendary Emperor realm. Thinking of this, Yao Chen couldn't help but gasp. One should know that the Fighting Kai continent had not produced a Du Dai for 10,000 years. And since the other party wanted to enter the so-called Emperor realm to transcend this world. This left him speechless. All right, you don't have to think this saint is speaking nonsense or playing with you, because time will prove everything. Zai Tianxiao didn't care what Yao Chen would think later. After all, not everyone was like him, transmigrated from Blue-White Star. Knowing why there were no Du Dai born in this Fighting Kai continent and the great 1,000 world beyond it. Haha. This saint is joking. May I ask which force this saint belongs to, and is that force established in the Central Plains? Yao Chen coughed a few times, changed the subject, and asked tentatively. Zai Tianxiao, as a half-saint powerhouse, why had he never heard of a venerable Shixiao or even a saint in the Central Plains before? Could it be that the other party was from another region or from the ancient era? This made Yao Chen very confused. This old fellow wants to ask which force I come from, and if there are any half-saints or Du Sheng powerhouses in that force. Zai Tianxiao thought to himself, then he said indifferently, "I'm afraid I'll disappoint you. I don't have any force behind me. As for why you haven't heard my name in the Central Plains, it's because before I broke through to half-saint, I often cultivated in seclusion in the Northwest region and rarely went to the Central Plains to do things." Yao Chen suddenly understood. No wonder he hadn't heard of Zai Tianxiao's deeds in the Central Plains. It turned out the other party was a reclusive cultivation fanatic. Thinking of this, Yao Chen also sincerely praised. That Shixiao saint being able to cultivate to his current level alone, his talent truly makes this old man feel ashamed. Don't look at him being an 8th-grade alchemist grandmaster, and having stayed at the peak 9-star Du Zun for many years. He still had no clue about breaking through to the half-saint realm. And Zai Tianxiao, without the support of any force, could achieve such cultivation. The experiences involved were probably unimaginable to ordinary people. This also showed that the other party's talent and luck were rare, monstrous figures in the world, the darlings of heaven and earth, just good luck. Zai Tianxiao looked at Yao Chen, who was making up scenarios in his mind, smiled faintly, and didn't say too much. Hearing this, Yao Chen smiled bitterly, remained silent for a moment, then asked, "This old man has a question. May this saint enlighten me? Ask away." Zai Tianxiao waved his hand lightly, signaling Yao Chen to continue. This old man observes that this saint already possesses the yin-yang twin flames, ranked 21st. Why do you still need me to hand over the bone-chilling flame to this saint? Could it be that this saint has a junior with high alchemy talent by his side? If not, forgive this old man for speaking frankly. Even with this saint's strength, You cannot simultaneously fuse two types of heavenly flames. Yao Chen took a deep breath and slowly spoke. After all, he had now joined Zai Tianxiao's command. If Zai Tianxiao had problems, it would not benefit Yao Chen at all. No juniors. Since I want your heavenly flame, I have my own use for it. You don't need to ask further. Zai Tianxiao waved his hand and said, "Are you kidding, a junior?" Not to mention that the body he had fused with had no women. Even his parents had died when his former self was young. Otherwise, he wouldn't have become a cultivation fanatic, to the point where his name and deeds weren't even heard in the Central Plains. Then this old man will not speak further. Yao Chen nodded upon hearing this and didn't ask any more questions. Since you have joined this saint's command, this saint will certainly not treat you unfairly. Take this spatial jade slip. It contains one of my Du Zun-level energy clones. Although it can only be used once, it can unleash the strength of a mid-level Du Zun, which is enough for you to use in this northwest continent. Zai Tianxiao took out a purple jade slip and handed it to Yao Chen. Yao Chen was stunned and did not take the jade slip, but shook his head and said, "I cannot accept a reward without merit. Since this saint thinks highly of this old man, please give it to this old man next time you come for the bone-chilling flame. This small Jia Ma empire, this old man doesn't even put it in his heart." Yao Chen didn't expect Zai Tianxiao to give him a life-saving method, and it was a jade slip that could unleash Du Zun-level combat power. This made him feel a little better. At least Zai Tianxiao wasn't treating him as a dispensable tool. Yao Chen is indeed Yao Chen. Since that's the case, this saint will tell you some good news. Zai Tianxiao smiled faintly and continued, "Your enemy is also this saint's enemy, so our enemies are consistent." "You mean?" Yao Chen's heart stirred slightly, but he feigned a look of confusion on his face. Looking at Yao Chen, who appeared calm on the surface, Zai Tianxiao did not answer his question but changed the subject. "This saint still has matters to attend to, so I won't disturb you and your disciple. Also, this saint does not wish to appear in the eyes of the world. You know what to do." "This old man understands." Yao Chen nodded. No wonder Zai Tianxiao didn't refer to himself as saint at first, but rather this seat. Clearly, he didn't want to expose his strength too early. Then Zai Tianxiao's figure flickered, instantly disappearing into the Xiao family mountain forest. "Shixiao Saint, huh?" Looking at the completely departed figure, Yao Chen's eyes gleamed intensely. If Zai Tianxiao was right, then the other party was indeed his ally, and joining Zai Tianxiao's command would not only not be a loss, but would also bring immense benefits to him. This matter was now concluded. However, looking at Xiao Yan, who was still unconscious beside him, Yao Chen shook his head helplessly. Fortunately, the Shixiao Saint only released his aura, not his pressure. Otherwise, this little fellow Xiao Yan wouldn't just be unconscious. Afterward, Yao Chen fed Xiao Yan a few pills, which slowly woke him up. "Teacher." Xiao Yan opened his eyes and saw Yao Chen sitting beside him. Then he looked around and asked, "Teacher, where's that arrogant guy?" "What arrogant guy? He has the strength for it." You should work hard to improve yourself. Don't get knocked out by someone's aura again next time." Yao Chen rolled his eyes and said grumpily. Scolded by Yao Chen, Xiao Yan awkwardly rubbed his nose, then asked again, "Teacher, what happened after I fainted? Tell me about it." After that, Yao Chen sighed and began to recount some of the things that had happened afterward. Chapter 27, Mitre Auction House. Chapter 27. Middle Auction House. 2 days later, in the back mountains of the Xiao family, at a certain moment, the air there suddenly began to subtly ripple. A black shadow slowly appeared, and in just an instant, a figure clad in a black robe materialized on the ground. Strange, a powerful aura seems to have appeared here. The suddenly appearing black-robed man lowered his head slightly, revealing a dark, aged face, and looked around, murmuring. Could it be that some powerful expert visited the Xiao family? It seems I need to inform the young lady. She should be more careful recently. Afterward, the black-robed man lightly tapped his toes in the air, and his body flickered several times, transforming into a black shadow that vanished from its original spot, inside a luxurious inn in Wooten City. Zai Tianxiao sat cross-legged on the bed, his eyes closed, seemingly comprehending something. This Senluo soul-devouring seal is indeed marvelous, truly worthy of being a do technique comparable to a heaven tier. What a pity I already have the devouring system, otherwise this do technique would be very suitable for me. After a while, Zai Tianxiao exhaled, opened his eyes, and a hint of regret appeared on his face. After leaving the Zio family last night, he found a good inn in the city and settled in. Firstly, it was for rest, and secondly, he wanted to examine the do technique that his predecessor couldn't cultivate. The Senluo soul-devouring seal is a high-grade earth-tier do technique focused on the soul. A master of this technique can not only increase their own soul strength, but also instantly boost their soul power during combat, thereby enhancing their own strength. Furthermore, when facing some weaker soul entities, it can even tear and devour them directly. And such a powerful do technique was obtained by his predecessor through a chance encounter in that do saint's secret realm. However, the cultivation method for this do technique is extremely profound, and cultivators must possess a heaven-tier soul, which was also the reason why his predecessor could not cultivate it. It's a bit of a chicken and egg situation. How can a normal person's soul power reach the heaven tier? Even if they luckily obtain this do technique, they can't cultivate it. Zai Tianxiao shook his head slightly, complaining inwardly, "Forget it, I won't think about these things anymore." With that thought, Zai Tianxiao closed his eyes slightly, but before he could continue to study the cultivation methods and do techniques in his mind, his eyebrows twitched, and he exclaimed in surprise, Zio Yan, immediately, his powerful soul power extended outwards. "Brother Zio Yan, hurry up." Outside the inn street, a young girl was pulling Zio Yan beside her, her face full of excitement. Coming. Am I not walking? You little girls, you really are." Zio Yan looked at the bouncing girl in front of him, his face filled with a wry smile, and he could only speed up to follow her. The young girl in front of him wore a light green decorative dress. The light color made the girl even more pure, full of vitality and alluring youthful charm, and of course, that unique, elegant temperament. "HMPH, Brother Zio Yan, this is the first time in 2 years you've asked Zunner out, so Zunner naturally has to seize this opportunity." Zio Zunner playfully stuck out her tongue, her eyes filled with deep joy. 2 years. Her brother Zio Yan seemed to have regained his confidence. Looking at Zio Yan's vibrant and energetic appearance, the girl felt as if she saw the Zio Yan who was once full of fighting spirit and courage. "Zunner, can't you be more ladylike? You'll scare people away like this," Zio Yan said with a wry smile. Where am I not ladylike?" Zio Zunner pouted when she heard this. All right, you must be tired, right? Let's find a place to eat first, and after we finish eating, I'll take you shopping." Zio Yan helplessly patted the young girl's head. "Whatever Brother Zio Yan says." Zio Zunner nodded obediently. "Let's go." Zio Yan smiled and took Zio Zunner's soft little hand, MHM. Zio Zunner softly hummed, a hint of shyness flashing in her eyes, and then followed Zio Yan into the distance. Meanwhile, Zai Tianxiao, who was upstairs, sensed the departing girl on the street and couldn't help but exclaim, "Is this Gu Zunner? She truly is a lotus emerging from water, unbelievably beautiful. What a pity that brat Zio Yan got lucky." Recalling Zio Yan, a hint of envy flashed in Zai Tianxiao's eyes. If he had transmigrated earlier, he would definitely have pursued Gu Zunner. After all, she is the wealthiest person in battle through the heavens, and with his half-saint strength, gaining recognition from her family wouldn't be impossible. But now, he shook his head. Not to mention that she was already deeply in love with Zio Yan, but Zai Tianxiao was also not the type to spend a lot of time chasing a woman who was almost impossible to fall in love with him. That wasn't his style. So he originally had no intention of meeting Gu Zunner. Otherwise, he would have gone when he was at the Zio family. He just didn't expect her to pass by here, right below his inn, which surprised him a bit. Oh right, since this Gu Zunner is so beautiful, then Yafei shouldn't be bad either. Although it's a year early now, she should also be in Wooten City for training. Zai Tianxiao stroked his smooth chin, muttering to himself, "Should I go take a look?" Having transmigrated, Zai Tianxiao naturally knew that besides Gu Zunner, the first female lead of battle through the heavens. There were also several other major female leads. Their appearances were also extremely beautiful, and each of them possessed extraordinary abilities. Yafei was one of them. Her business management skills were exceptional, and later on, she even earned the title of Golden Empress. No matter what, since I'm here, I might as well go and see. Having made up his mind, Zai Tianxiao immediately got up, his figure moved, and he vanished from his original spot. Middle Auction House Branch, the largest auction house in Wooten City, and also affiliated with the Middle family, the wealthiest family in the Jia Ma Empire. The Middle family has a long history, having developed in the Jia Ma Empire for several hundred years. Their connections are incredibly intricate. Almost every medium to large city in the empire has an auction house belonging to their family. Hey, have you heard? The auction house is going to bring out a few more treasures for auction this time. Really? I remember they only auctioned a high-grade yellow tier du technique last time, right? That's right. I heard there are also some precious tier 2 medicinal pills this time, and even people from the major families have gone. Oh, I also heard that the one hosting the auction this time is that woman named Yafei. What, Miss Yafei is also going? Then I definitely have to go join the fun. Hearing everyone's discussions, many people were greatly astonished. This woman named Yafei was not only stunningly beautiful and tall and sexy, but also the chief auctioneer of the auction house. It was even rumored that Miss Yafei was a disciple from the middle family in the imperial capital who came here for training. If anyone could win her heart, it would definitely be an incredibly fortunate event. Sir, are you here to appraise treasures? A middle-aged man walked up to Zai Tianxiao, asking with a smile and a respectful expression. Zai Tianxiao did not go directly to the center of the auction house, but came to the appraisal pavilion here. Although he had scanned the auction house with his soul power and knew Yafei was here, he still wanted Yafei to come and see him, rather than him going to find her. Chapter 28, Yafei Chapter 28. Yafei, you can't handle this. Go call Yafei out. Zai Tianxiao said indifferently. This gentleman might not know, but Miss Yafei has been busy preparing for the auction house recently, so she probably doesn't have time to see him. The middle-aged steward's expression froze upon hearing this, then he looked at Zai Tianxiao with a bitter smile. Although he didn't know Zai Tianxiao's specific identity, judging by his demeanor, he was likely no ordinary person. Otherwise, he wouldn't have directly asked him to invite Yafei. However, Yafei was in charge of this auction house, and as a regular steward, he wouldn't dare to disturb Miss Yafei, so he could only helplessly tell Zai Tianxiao. It seems you're very confident. As if Zai Tianxiao had already anticipated the outcome, he flipped his palm, and a pill, entirely emerald green and emitting an enticing, unique fragrance, appeared in his hand. This is a pill. The middle-aged steward's eyes widened in surprise when he saw the pill in Zai Tianxiao's hand. Do you have time now? Zai Tianxiao didn't answer the middle-aged man but directly stated, My apologies, sir. Since you wish to auction a pill, please wait a moment. I will go and invite Master Gu Nai from the auction house to appraise it. After regaining his composure, the middle-aged steward quickly bowed to Zai Tianxiao, and without waiting for Zai Tianxiao to reply, he hurriedly exited the treasure appraisal pavilion. Watching the middle-aged man's quickly departing back, Zai Tianxiao's mouth twitched. If he were to describe his thoughts at that moment, it would definitely be 3 question marks soon after. The middle-aged man returned, leading a white-haired old man in green robes. Upon seeing Zai Tianxiao, a hint of surprise appeared on the old man's face. He had thought that anyone in Wooten City capable of bringing a pill for sale would be an elder from some family, but he didn't expect it to be a young man in his 20s. Sir, this is Master Gu Nai. The middle-aged steward bowed deeply. Hurry up and leave. Zai Tianxiao waved his hand, urging the middle-aged man. Upon hearing this, the middle-aged steward was stunned, not understanding what was going on with the other party, but he didn't dare to delay and immediately retreated. May I ask what pill this esteemed guest wishes to appraise? The old man, referred to as Master Gu Nai, walked up to Zai Tianxiao, cupped his hands and asked. At this moment, The old man's face was flushed with health, and an undeniable hint of arrogance was visible on his ordinary old face. Although his green robes appeared common, there was a faint glow flowing within them, clearly indicating that the garment had been enchanted with some magic crystal protection, and this was an essential item for every alchemist. You're Gunai, right? You don't need to appraise it. This is a 4th-grade Kai gathering powder, enough to open your eyes. Zai Tianxiao finished speaking indifferently, and the emerald green Kai gathering powder in his hand slowly floated towards Nai Gu. Kai gathering powder. Gu Nai's eyebrows twitched upon hearing this. Although he was somewhat displeased with Zai Tianxiao's tone, he still took the pill and began to examine it. A moment later, Gu Nai looked at the pill in his hand, a look of wild joy appearing in his eyes, and he excitedly looked at Zai Tianxiao, saying, "It really is a 4th-grade Kai gathering powder." "Your Excellency, no, sir, this is. Kai gathering powder is a 4th-grade pill. Although its only effect is to allow a person at the 9th stage Du Kai to successfully condense a Du Zhai Kai vortex with 100% certainty. To refine this pill, one must at least be a 4th-grade alchemist. No one in Wooten City could produce such an item." Although Naigu couldn't discern if Zai Tianxiao was an alchemist, anyone who could produce Kai gathering powder for trade would certainly not be from an ordinary family force. "Do you think you can make the decision? Go call Yafei out." Zai Tianxiao glanced at Naigu indifferently, then continued to sit by the side. Yafei Gu Nai was startled, but he quickly reacted, bowing respectfully and saying, "Then, sir, please wait a moment. This old man will go and call Yafei." Upon hearing this, Zai Tianxiao said nothing more, only waved his hand. He was already out of patience. If it weren't for the fact that the other party was the female lead, he wouldn't be wasting his time here. Hearing this, Gu Nai turned and exited the treasure appraisal pavilion, hurrying towards Yafei's residence. In a private room at the auction house, Gu Nai pushed open the door and, seeing the woman in the red dress sitting inside, quickly said, "Niece Yafei, quickly, come with me to see a sir." "Oh. It's Uncle Gu Nai. What's wrong? What has made you so flustered?" Yafei, in her red dress, looked up. Seeing that it was Gu Nai, a hint of doubt appeared on her pretty face. Gu Nai was a 2nd-grade alchemist with a distinguished status. There were only a few people in Wooten City whom he would call a great figure. Alas, a great figure has arrived at the treasure appraisal pavilion. He immediately presented a 4th-grade Kai gathering powder and specifically requested you for the transaction. "I dared not delay, so I hurried over to find you," Gu Nai said with a bitter smile. 4th-grade Kai gathering powder. Yafei was astonished after hearing Gu Nai's words, and her delicate brows furrowed slightly as she pressed, "There's no such person in Wooten City, Uncle Gu Nai." "Are you sure you didn't see wrong?" "I'm also puzzled. Although I don't know where this person came from, I'm certain that it was Kai gathering powder." Gu Nai shook his head, his tone very firm. Upon hearing this, Yafei pondered for a moment, then stood up and said, "Since that's the case, Uncle Gu Nai, let's go quickly, lest we offend the other party and bring unnecessary trouble to the family." "All right." Hearing this, Gu Nai didn't delay and led Yafei towards the treasure appraisal pavilion. Treasure appraisal pavilion. Zai Tianxiao saw Gu Nai and a woman in a red dress enter, so he put down his teacup and looked up. He saw that on the woman's slightly smiling, pretty face, there was a hint of allure. She was wearing a beautifully crafted and exquisite noble red gown, which perfectly outlined her wonderful curves. A section of dazzlingly fair, long legs beneath the gown stirred a fiery impulse within people's hearts, and at her slender waist, which could be grasped with one hand, a silver sash was tied, highlighting her delicate waist to perfection. "Heh, this must be the sir who produced the Kai gathering powder. I presume sir is not from Wooten City." A fragrant breeze swept over, and a soft, enchanting, delicate chuckle entered Zai Tianxiao's ears. "Is this Yafei? In some aspects, she truly is extraordinary." Zai Tianxiao looked at Yafei, unable to help but sigh inwardly, but on the surface, he calmly replied, "The Kai gathering powder indeed came from my hand. But I recall that this auction house doesn't have a habit of inquiring about guests' identities." Charming as she was, Zai Tianxiao couldn't lose his composure because of this woman. he still had to maintain his proper demeanor. Heh heh, judging by Sir's tone, has Yafei somehow displeased you? Yafei apologizes to Sir here. Yafei was startled, then smiled sweetly, appearing utterly pitiable. Chapter 29, Mature and Charming. Chapter 29, Mature and Charming. I thought it was some irrelevant person again. Chief Auctioneer Yafei of the Middle Auction House, it's truly not easy to meet you. After speaking, Zai Tianxiao ignored Yafei and simply picked up his tea to drink. Your reprimand is correct, my lord. It was my dereliction of duty. How does my lord wish to trade the Kai gathering powder? Yafei approached, looking at Zai Tianxiao with boundless charm, and said sweetly. As expected of the female lead, Tudu truly did not deceive me at close quarters. Zai Tianxiao once again experienced the mature charm of this woman. On her playfully smiling face, a pair of glistening, beautiful eyes seemed to constantly release temptation towards men. And those delicate, full lips below made one feel an irresistible urge. As Zai Tianxiao's gaze subtly moved over her long, elegant neck, he was almost captivated by the fullness of her chest. Her willowy waist, like a water snake, swayed with natural allure, making one feel an impulse to forcefully pin her down and whip her. This woman is truly charming enough. After cursing under his breath, Zai Tianxiao immediately composed himself and said, Miss Yafei should know the value of Kai gathering powder. He almost lost his composure. As a saint, Zai Tianxiao was nearly enchanted by a woman. How embarrassing. This servant naturally knows, but I wonder if my lord intends to auction it, or directly have our auction house acquire it. A hint of distaste flashed in Yafei's eyes. Although it was only for an instant, she still sensed the naked desire in the other party's gaze just now. However, to avoid offending him, she could only pretend as if nothing had happened and asked with a smile. Haha, there's no hurry to trade. This seat observes that Miss Yafei is still only at the 9th stage Du Kai and has not yet successfully broken through to the Du Practitioner stage, correct? Zai Tianxiao naturally noticed the displeasure that flashed across Yafei's face, but he didn't care. Instead, he inquired in a different manner. My lord truly has keen insight. Due to my talent, I indeed haven't been able to break through to the Du Practitioner stage, but why does my lord bring up this question? Upon hearing this, Yafei's face showed a hint of confusion. Regarding the fact that she was still only at the 9th stage Du Kai, she didn't intend to hide anything. After all, such a thing could be discovered by anyone with slightly higher cultivation. What difference did it make whether she hid it or not? This seat can grant you an opportunity to help you break through to the Du Practitioner stage ahead of time, Zai Tianxiao said with a slight smile. Opportunity. Although Yafei had some doubts, she still suppressed them and asked, I wonder what kind of opportunity my lord intends to bestow upon this servant. She didn't believe that the other party was so kind as to bestow an opportunity. He would probably make some outrageous demands of her. Kai gathering powder. Zai Tianxiao said indifferently, Kai gathering powder. Yafei's expression changed in surprise upon hearing this. She hadn't expected that the opportunity Zai Tianxiao spoke of was Kai gathering powder, and it seemed he would even give it to her. This made her momentarily unsure of what Zai Tianxiao's true intentions were. That's right. Weren't you just asking about the trade? Zai Tianxiao looked at Yafei's surprised face and continued, Let me put it this way, I don't really care about Kai gathering powder. My main purpose in coming to the auction house this time was to meet you. Meet me. Yafei was very surprised, but she still smiled gracefully and asked, Since my lord has now met this servant, what are your intentions? Is obtaining you considered an intention? Zai Tianxiao smiled faintly and retorted, My lord, you are truly humorous. Yafei said coquettishly, but she felt a bit annoyed in her heart. This guy was so direct. Sure enough, none of the men who came to see her were any good. She had thought that as a prominent figure who could produce a 4th-grade medicinal pill, he would at least have some sense of propriety. Now she finally realized she had overestimated him. Humorous or not, Miss Yafei should know better than anyone. Zai Tianxiao observed the changes in Yafei's expression and continued, Haha, a prominent figure who can casually produce a 4th-grade Kai gathering powder. Yafei's humble appearance is not worthy of my lord. Although Yafei was annoyed, she still said with a smile, She had secretly decided that after the auction ended, she must thoroughly investigate this person's information. So Miss Yafei also knows how to refuse people. I used to think Miss Yafei ran out of some brothel and would happily agree to any customer's request. Zai Tianxiao listened to Yafei's reply, his face devoid of anger, instead carrying a hint of playfulness. Although my status is not as noble as my lord's, I would not stoop to a place like a brothel. Although Yafei detected the sarcasm in the other party's tone, she still replied indifferently on the surface. However, she was somewhat surprised by the meaning of his words. Did he dislike her tone of voice just now? As the chief auctioneer of Wooten City, she knew very well that men all liked those flirtatious, enchanting, and charming women. Only this way would her popularity continue to soar, and the number of people willing to spend money for her at this auction house would also increase. Even prominent figures like him, didn't they come to this auction house because they heard about her? So what could he be dissatisfied with? Could it be that he didn't like that type of woman, which is why he said that? This thought couldn't help but surface in Yafei's mind. If that's the case, then is it my problem? Zai Tianxiao had a playful smile on his face as he heard Yafei's reply. Since my lord dislikes Yafei's tone just now, then Yafei will naturally not speak that way again. Lest my lord think Yafei is some casual brothel girl and misunderstand, Yafei said, her face returning to composure. Her words also carried another meaning. She was not a soft persimmon to be easily manipulated. Even if he was a fourth-grade alchemist, she would still dismiss him. Haha, just kidding. Although you don't understand this seat, I do know a thing or two about Miss Yafei. The purpose of coming to the auction house this time was merely to see if you were truly as I had expected. Zai Tianxiao smiled faintly and explained. Yafei was a very intelligent woman. Although she had frequented the auction house for many years and met many men, she also had her own bottom line, knowing when to stop and when to be firm. It was precisely because of this that she was able to reach her current position. Her cultivation talent was quite poor. At the age of 29, she was only at the 9th stage Du Kai, not even reaching the Du Practitioner stage. It truly fulfilled the saying, when God closes a door, he opens a window for you, allowing you to survive in this world where the strong prey on the weak. Sigh, this chapter was annoying to write. Oh right, don't click into the chapter I just posted immediately, because there are some issues inside. I check and revise it every time, so some readers might see different versions. Especially the previous chapter and the issue about King Lin at the end. Please go to the end of the previous chapter and share your thoughts. Chapter 30. You have no right to refuse. Chapter 30. You have no right to refuse. Oh, according to your words, do you know Yafei very well? Hearing Zai Tianxiao's words, Yafei's expression froze, and then she asked. Although her reputation was great, it was only limited to Wooten City. If she returned to the imperial capital, her status would drop significantly, and she might even be ridiculed as a frivolous woman. Besides, she didn't remember ever seeing this young man who could casually produce a grade 4 pill. Not completely, no. I just said that I came here only to confirm whether Miss Yafei was as I imagined. Zai Tianxiao shook his head slightly. In that case, does Yafei now meet your expectations? Yafei also felt a slight relief in her heart and looked at Zai Tianxiao as she spoke. You are very good. In response, Zai Tianxiao merely replied indifferently and said nothing more. Is this lord speaking in riddles to Yafei? Yafei doesn't quite understand what you mean. Yafei said with a smile. Zai Tianxiao's words made Yafei a little strange. She didn't understand why he would suddenly praise her. It's fine if you don't understand, you'll know later. Zai Tianxiao replied indifferently, then reached into his storage ring, and an exquisite wooden box appeared in his hand. The wooden box slowly opened, and an emerald green kai gathering powder with a hint of blue was presented before Yafei's eyes. This is the grade 4 kai gathering powder, and it is the opportunity I promised you earlier. As Zai Tianxiao spoke, his finger moved slightly, and the wooden box containing the kai gathering powder slowly floated in front of Yafei. Seeing this, Yafei also cast aside her earlier doubts and said with great shock, Lord, do you truly intend to give this high-quality kai gathering powder to Yafei? She had thought that his earlier words were merely a flirtatious remark, just something he said casually. But she didn't expect that he truly intended to give her the Kai gathering powder, and of the highest quality at that. Although she was born into the middle family, her status within the clan was not high. On the contrary, she was dispensable. Therefore, this grade 4 Kai gathering powder was undoubtedly extremely precious to her. Otherwise, what do you think? That I would use such a low-grade pill to fool you? Zai Tianxiao glanced at her. Yafei knows that your identity is extraordinary, so how dare she doubt your words? It's just that Yafei truly cannot accept your gift. After all, it's too precious, and with Yafei's personal status, she is not qualified to receive your gift. Yafei's heart was stirred, but her face still maintained an expression of refusal. She knew that the man in front of her had an unusual identity, but she also had her own persistence and principles. Moreover, this man had not hidden his interest in her from the beginning. If she rashly accepted this Kai gathering powder, wouldn't it make him look down on her? I know what you're thinking, and I am indeed as you imagined. But you have no right to choose. As his words fell, Zai Tianxiao's powerful aura suddenly enveloped Yafei. Yafei immediately felt the pressure, and her body began to tremble involuntarily. What's going on? Yafei cried out in surprise, wanting to struggle to escape the opponent's aura. However, she found that no matter how hard she tried, she could not break free from this oppressive force. This aura seemed to have some kind of magic, making her body completely unable to move. Yafei was flustered. This aura was more powerful than any strong person she had ever seen. She even felt that the Du Wang, Battle King, clan leader of their middle family, was not as terrifying as the aura emanating from this person. This made her think of the rumored Du Huang, Battle Emperor, realm experts. Presumably, only such experts possessed such terrifying might. Lord, Yafei has no other meaning. It's just that she finds it difficult to accept such a valuable item from you. Please forgive her. Yafei gritted her teeth and endured, suppressing her inner fear, and respectfully said to Zai Tianxiao, "You have no right to refuse." Zai Tianxiao, however, did not give Yafei a chance to argue further. His figure flickered, and he suddenly appeared before Yafei's eyes. Looking at that exquisitely beautiful face and those alluring eyes, Zai Tianxiao only felt a stir in his heart. The corners of his mouth curved slightly, and he extended a large hand, gently lifting Yafei's chin, making her look directly at him. "What do you want to do?" "I warn you, I am a member of the middle family. If you dare to act recklessly, the family will definitely make you pay the price." Yafei's face was a mix of shame and anger. She no longer cared about his identity and glared fiercely at Zai Tianxiao, shouting angrily. She was truly angry now. The other party obviously intended to forcefully bully her, a weak woman, but she was helpless and completely unable to resist Zai Tianxiao. "Is that so? I'll let you know now that if I want to do something, you can only obediently endure it." As Zai Tianxiao spoke, with his other hand, his fingers pried open Yafei's tender red lips, and a tempting scent emanated from between her teeth. Zai Tianxiao's action completely stunned Yafei. You can't do this. You're insulting Yafei." Yafei's beautiful eyes were filled with intense shock and anger, and she said indignantly, "I'm not insulting you. It's just that you're disobedient, so I have no choice but to use another method." Zai Tianxiao removed the large hand that had lifted Yafei's chin, and his palm gently waved forward. The blue Kai gathering powder floating nearby flew directly into Yafei's mouth. HMMPH, Yafei's body trembled violently, and a hint of wronged tears appeared in her beautiful eyes, as if accusing Zai Tianxiao of his actions. "Soon you will thank me." Zai Tianxiao smiled indifferently, withdrawing the pressure he had exerted on Yafei. Then, with a flick of his finger, the blue Kai gathering powder immediately turned into liquid and flowed into Yafei's abdomen. Thump! With a soft sound, Yafei's body went limp and collapsed to the ground. "I said I would give you an opportunity, and I will naturally do it." After Zai Tianxiao finished speaking, he ignored Yafei and sat directly on the chair, closing his eyes. Soon after, Yafei's eyes slowly opened, and a faint flush appeared on her face. She discovered that the restraints Zai Tianxiao had placed on her had been lifted. My cultivation, has it broken through?" and reached a 2-star dew practitioner, Yafei was incredibly surprised. She had originally thought that with her aptitude and the resources she had obtained in Wooten City, she would only be able to break through to dew practitioner in 2 or even 3 years. After all, she only had 9th stage Dukai cultivation. Now, not only had she broken through to the dew practitioner stage, but she had also reached the 2-star level, which was simply unbelievable to her. You consumed a high-grade Kai gathering powder, plus your accumulation in 9th stage dew Kai over the years, which allowed you to break through to the 2-star dew practitioner stage. Just then, Zai Tianxiao also opened his eyes and said indifferently, "To the readers who have followed to this point, I've been very busy these past few days, so updates have been slow. Please forgive me." This chapter was written at 1 or 2 in the morning. Chapter 31, Unpredictable. Chapter 31. Unfathomable, the familiar yet indifferent male voice brought Yafei back from her joy. She found Zai Tianxiao sitting on a nearby chair, watching her, her face flushed, and she quickly stood up, regaining her usual graceful composure. She then thanked Zai Tianxiao, saying, "Yafei thanks you, sir, for your generous gift. Because of your Kai gathering powder, Yafei has entered the dew practitioner stage. Otherwise, Yafei would probably have remained at the 9th stage dew Kai for several more years." After speaking, Yafei curtsied slightly, bowing to Zai Tianxiao. So you're not using your middle family status to pressure me now." Zai Tianxiao took a sip of the clear tea on the table and leisurely asked Yafei in return, "It was Yafei who misunderstood you, sir. Please forgive me." Yafei lowered her head and said respectfully. But then she remembered what had just happened, and her face couldn't help but turn crimson, accompanied by some embarrassment. If Zai Tianxiao hadn't suddenly given her a Kai gathering powder at the end, she would have truly believed he intended to possess her by force of his powerful strength. Although she had threatened him with her family just now, given her status within the clan, even if she were possessed by a super expert suspected to be a Du Huang, the family probably wouldn't say anything. Instead, they would be quite willing to offer her to him. After all, what was the sacrifice of a woman with no cultivation talent compared to gaining the favor of a Du Huang expert? With your beauty, I am indeed interested in you. However, I still have some patience now and will not force you to do anything you are unwilling to do." Zai Tianxiao said indifferently. He genuinely liked Yafei, who would become the future Golden Empress, so if he could win her heart, that would be best. If not, he wouldn't mind simply taking her body. Subscribe for more amazing novel audiobooks. Don't forget to like, comment, and share Infinite Novel Audio. After all, Yafei could barely be considered a female lead. She was stunningly beautiful, and her business talent was exceptionally high. How could Zai Tianxiao let her go to someone else? Hearing this, Yafei was startled and quickly said humbly, "Sir, Yafei is merely an auctioneer, and her status in the family is humble. She is not worthy of you." "I don't need to be worthy or unworthy. You just need to know that I am interested in you," Zai Tianxiao said calmly, but his tone carried an undeniable dominance. Yes, Yafei understands. Yafei sighed inwardly, hearing the meaning in his words. It seemed she had no choice in his eyes. However, she also felt a bit strange. Logically, someone like him, who could casually give away a grade 4 medicinal pill and whose strength was suspected to be at the Du Huang level, should be able to obtain her effortlessly. Just now, if he had truly forced himself upon her, she would have been utterly unable to resist. Afterward, even the Mu family, with whom she had an engagement, might not dare to say much, perhaps even kicking her aside. But, although he had never concealed his desire for her, he hadn't done that, and even said he wouldn't force her to do anything unwilling. Even the previous coercion was only because she didn't want to accept the Kai gathering powder, and he had forcibly made her consume it with his strength to help her break through to the dew practitioner stage. This series of actions left Yafei confused about his attitude and the meaning behind his words. Could he be trying to pursue her? Thinking this, such a thought suddenly popped into Yafei's mind, and her pretty face couldn't help but feel warm. She secretly cursed herself for being so weak, actually having fantasies about a strange man, but she had to admit, a hint of curiosity about Zai Tianxiao had indeed arisen in her heart. It's good that you understand. I am Zai Tianxiao. You don't need to keep calling me sir. I don't like it. Zai Tianxiao looked at Yafei and said indifferently, since you don't like Yafei's address, may Yafei call you Mr. Tianzio? Yafei thought for a moment and then asked tentatively, You may. I don't mind that address. Zai Tianxiao nodded slightly in agreement. Zai Tianxiao didn't mind Yafei changing her address from sir to Mr. In fact, he thought it was quite good. This also indicated that Yafei was no longer as fearful or resistant towards him as before. Hearing Zai Tianxiao's reply, Yafei breathed a sigh of relief and smiled. Then Yafei will call you Mr. Tianzio. Zai Tianxiao nodded and said, Since my purpose for coming here has been achieved, I will take my leave. With that, he stood up, preparing to depart. Mr. Tianzio, please wait. Seeing this, Yafei quickly spoke out. Is there anything else? Zai Tianxiao turned to look at Yafei and asked, Mr. Tianzio, you gave me the Kai gathering powder and helped Yafei break through to the Du practitioner stage. Yafei hasn't properly thanked you yet, Yafei said respectfully. Then she took out a crystal card with the middle family emblem from her storage ring and handed it to Zai Tianxiao, saying, Yafei knows that someone of Mr. Tianzio's status does not lack money or material things. So, this is a VIP card for the mid-year auction house. As long as you hold this card at any middle family auction house, you will be able to. Yafei's words were interrupted by Zai Tianxiao, who said, I understand. Not only will I receive VIP treatment at your auction house, but the tax rate for auctioned items will also be reduced from 5% to 2%. I appreciate your kindness, but I don't need this from your family. If you truly want to thank me, then focus on improving your business talent. Zai Tianxiao refused directly, not giving Yafei a chance to speak. With his current strength, this mid-year VIP card was truly meaningless. If he wished, the entire Jia Ma Empire would have to change its surname to Zai. Mr. Tianzio, this. Hearing Zai Tianxiao's refusal, Yafei was momentarily speechless. She understood Zai Tianxiao's noble status, but what was with him acting as if he knew exactly what she was going to say? Although her current authority only allowed her to offer the lowest tier, even if he was a Du Huang expert, he shouldn't look down on her middle family's VIP card, should he? And how did he know she had some talent in business? He even told her to further cultivate it. This left Yafei very puzzled, as if he completely understood her as a person. Enough, you don't need to say anything more. Focus on refining your business talent. We can talk about thanks another day. With that, Zai Tianxiao's figure flickered and then disappeared. Seeing Zai Tianxiao leave, Yafei was stunned in place, unable to recover for a long time. After a long while, Yafei let out a soft sigh and murmured, Zai Tianxiao is it. He's truly a man full of mysteries. She couldn't fathom his thoughts, nor did she know why he acted the way he did towards her. Writing to the end, I found that the first 38 chapters here deterred many people. To clarify, Yafei and Zio Yizian in the 30s chapters were a bit too fawning, but I didn't have much time to think about changing it. I can only ensure that the later protagonist doesn't act this way, and the characters' personalities will also be adjusted, generally moving towards the mindset of a Du Sheng. Chapter 32 Discussion Chapter 32 Discussion Jia Ma Empire, Cloud Mist Sect. Inside the sect, a middle-aged man paced back and forth, his expression anxious and his brows deeply furrowed. Elder Gu He sect leader Yun has emerged from her seclusion. Just then, a Cloud Mist sect disciple ran over in a hurry, reporting to the middle-aged man. Sect leader Yun has emerged from seclusion. Good, I'll go over immediately. After hearing the disciple's words, a look of joy appeared on the middle-aged man's face, and he rushed towards the main hall of the sect. Inside the main hall of the Cloud Mist sect, a beautiful woman, dressed in a plain skirt that enveloped her full and delicate figure, sat at the head of the hall, observing the dozens of Cloud Mist sect elders below her. We Chinese letter SECT leader on the successful completion of her seclusion and her emergence. Welcome back, sect leader. The elders of the Cloud Mist sect all rose and bowed to the woman at the head of the hall. There's no need for such ceremony. Please rise, everyone. The woman sitting on the throne raised her hand in a gesture of dismissal, speaking with a faint smile. This woman speaking was Yun Yun, the 8th sect leader of the Cloud Mist sect. To her right, a long sword with a somewhat peculiar appearance and emitting a blue light was placed. Her dark hair was styled into a noble phoenix headdress, and her beautiful, serene face, though calm, exuded a grace and nobility that her simple attire could not conceal. "Thank you, sect leader." Hearing the woman's words, the Cloud Mist sect elders below all stood up. "I have gathered you all here today to hear your opinions on the frequent appearances and disturbances caused by the people of the Mulan Empire along the empire's borders." Yun Yun swept her gaze over everyone and spoke softly. "Sect leader, the Mulan Empire frequently appears in various surrounding empires, and they are arrogant and overbearing, as if they have nothing to fear. Therefore, I believe the sect should observe the situation and await the imperial family's opinion." Hearing this, a white-robed elder standing at the very front stepped out and spoke first. What Elder Yun Ling said is correct. Our sect and the imperial family may seem to be on good terms, but in reality, undercurrents have long been brewing. If we intervene rashly, I fear it will be detrimental to our Cloud Mist sect. Another white-robed elder echoed. "Sect leader, this matter actually has little to do with us. The ones who should truly be troubled are those people from the imperial family. After all, the Jayama Empire does not belong to our Cloud Mist sect." At this moment, an elder from the back stepped out and bowed. As soon as these words were spoken, a silence fell over the hall, and the gazes of all the Cloud Mist sect elders turned towards Yun Yun, who sat at the head. What you all said is not wrong. My teacher is in secluded cultivation, and the sect's strength is greatly reduced, so it is indeed not advisable to intervene, lest it bring unnecessary trouble to the sect." Hearing everyone's opinions, Yun Yun paused, then continued. "Before going into seclusion, Jia Xingxian and old Jia, the guardians of the imperial family, and I sensed a presence that seemed to surpass a Du Huang expert in a border region of the empire." Surpassing a Du Huang expert. Upon hearing this, all the Cloud Mist sect elders were greatly astonished, their faces filled with shock. Indeed, according to old Jia and my speculation, this person likely has designs on the empire. However, by the time we arrived, this presence had vanished without a trace. Yun Yun said with a slight nod, "Sect leader." Then, Yun Ling's words were cut short by the middle-aged man who had rushed in. "Sect leader Yun." The middle-aged man arrived in the main hall and spoke to the plain-skirted woman sitting at the head. "Sect leader Yun, I have an urgent matter to report." Hearing the middle-aged man's words, all the Cloud Mist sect elders were slightly taken aback. "Elder Gu He, what matter has you so flustered?" Yun Ling glanced at everyone and asked. The middle-aged man was the 6th-rank alchemist, Pil King Gu He, and also an elder of the Cloud Mist sect, holding a very high status in the Jia Ma Empire. Their words, as Cloud Mist sect elders, would also be taken very seriously. Yun Yun looked at the rushing Gu He and couldn't help but raise her slender, curved eyebrows slightly. "Elder Gu He, what happened that made you rush over so anxiously?" Yun Yun was somewhat surprised, seemingly not expecting the usually steady Gu He to appear so flustered. "Sect leader, everyone." Gu He cupped his hands to those around him, then looked solemnly at Yun Yun at the head and said, "Some days ago, when Gu He was searching for medicinal ingredients in a desert near the border, he encountered a person from the Mulan Empire. This person wanted to capture me and take me to Mulan Valley. I refused, but unfortunately, the opponent was very powerful, a Du Huang expert. I was no match and was captured and taken to Mulan Valley." At this point, Gu He's face showed a look of shame. After all, as a 6th-rank alchemist and a Du Wang, he was considered a strong figure in the entire Jayama Empire. However, facing the opponent, he was still easily defeated and could only be captured obediently. Who is so audacious? Such a thing actually happened. This Mulan Empire is truly becoming more and more presumptuous, daring to secretly capture an elder of our Cloud Mist sect. As soon as Gu He's words fell, all the Cloud Mist sect elders present couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. Everyone was somewhat angry that the Mulan Empire was so arrogant. Mulan Valley, Yun-Yun's delicate brows immediately furrowed when she heard Gu He's words. Do you know who captured you, and how did you escape? I don't know. Gu He shook his head and said bitterly. I originally thought I was doomed this time, but I didn't expect to be rescued by an unfamiliar Du Zong when I reached the Empire's border. What? A Du Zong expert? How is this possible? When did the Jiama Empire produce another existence surpassing a Du Huang? After hearing Gu He's narration, all the Cloud Mist sect elders present had incredulous expressions. At this moment, Yun-Yun was also startled, her expression solemn as she said, Elder Gu He, are you sure you didn't see wrong? You should know what this implies. It should be known that the Jiama Empire had not seen a Du Zong for many years. If any force had someone break through, or gain the support of a Du Zong expert, it would mean that the Empire's situation would be disrupted, which would absolutely be a very serious matter. Sect leader, I am sure. Moreover, that person seemed to recognize me, but after saving me, he left. I don't know who he is. Gu He pondered for a moment, then added, as for the humiliation he suffered and the storage ring being stolen from him, he did not mention it. After all, as the Pill King of the dignified Jiama Empire, how could he speak of such a matter? It would truly disgrace his status. That is truly strange. Hearing Gu He's words, Yun-Yun's graceful brows furrowed and she immediately asked, when did this happen? Half a month ago. I originally wanted to inform you earlier, but it just so happened that you were in seclusion at the time, so it was delayed until now, Gu He replied. Half a month ago. Could it be that the aura from that time and the Du Zong expert Gu He mentioned are the same person? Hearing Gu He's reply, Yun-Yun's brows furrowed even tighter, because that time period was precisely when she and Jia Xingxian detected the aura surpassing a Du Huang at the border. P.S. Each time I write notes after a chapter, Genesis doesn't display them. So in this chapter, I'll mention that the female lead should be acquired within 3 meetings at most. Also, thank you for all your recommendation votes. Although updates are slow, I won't drop the novel. It should also remain free in the future. Thank you all for your support. Chapter 33, Qingshan Town. Chapter 33. Qingshan Town. Recalling old Jia's previous speculation, Yun-Yun was startled. If that were true, things would be troublesome, as a Du Zong battle ancestor, expert with unknown motives, was secretly hiding in the Jiama Empire. Were you able to clearly see the appearance of this Du Zong battle ancestor at that time? Thinking of this, Yun-Yun pressed again. Gu He heard her and replied, recalling. He was a man in a black robe with a relatively young face. He looked like he wasn't much older than sect leader Yun. Upon hearing this answer, all the Cloud Mist sect elders present were stunned, then frowned. Young, too young. If these words hadn't come from Gu He, they would never have believed that someone could reach Du Zong, battle ancestor, at the age of 30. This was beyond their comprehension, simply inconceivable. Even Yun-Yun wore a look of shock, and an endless sense of curiosity arose in her heart. Because, looking across the entire Jiama Empire, and even the northwest continent, which Du Zong, battle ancestor, wasn't an old monster who had lived for nearly 100 years. Even with her, a Du Huang, battle emperor, at only 20-something years old, hailed as the youngest Du Huang, battle emperor, in the Jiama Empire, she didn't know how many years it would take to reach the Du Zong, battle ancestor realm. But now, a man not much older than her possessed such terrifying cultivation. It made people wonder where this person came from and what kind of power supported him. Sect leader Yun, is this person related to the Du Huang, battle emperor, expert you mentioned before? At this moment, Yun Ling, who was nearby, spoke up and asked, not entirely sure. Yun-Yun heard her and first shook her head slightly, then said, but what's certain is that this person is not an expert from the Mulan Empire. Since he took action to save Elder Gu He, it means he holds no enmity towards our sect. If the other party appears in the Jiama Empire again, our sect only needs to treat him with courtesy, Yun-Yun said slowly. Sect leader Yun is wise. Hearing Yun-Yun's analysis, all the Cloud Mist sect elders present respectfully said, this conclusion undoubtedly made the elders present breathe a sigh of relief. As long as this person wasn't from the Mulan Empire, things would be much easier. All right, I will discuss this matter further with old Jia. You may all withdraw. Yun Yun waved her hand, signaling for everyone present to leave. Yes, sect leader Yun. Upon hearing her, the elders immediately bowed to Yun Yun, then turned and left the main hall, leaving only Yun Yun and Gu He. Yun Yun looked at Gu He and softly said, "Big brother Gu He, you should leave too. I will go and investigate this matter." Hearing Yun Yun's address to him, a hint of joy surged in Gu He's heart, and he said, "Yuner, I have some medicinal pills specially reserved for you. Take a look at which ones. Elder Gu He, please watch your words." Gu He's words had not yet finished when Yun Yun, standing nearby, frowned slightly and coldly interrupted him. "Yuner, I." Seeing the displeased expression on Yun Yun's face, Gu He opened his mouth, wanting to explain something. "Enough, Gu He, you are to call me sect leader Yun or sect leader Yun, not Yuner." Yun Yun coldly snapped, clearly not wanting to hear Gu He's address to her. Hearing Yun Yun's reprimand, Gu He hesitated, wanting to speak but holding back, and finally nodded helplessly, responding, "Yes, sect leader Yun." Anyone with eyes knew he liked Yun Yun. A large part of his reason for joining the Cloud Mist sect was also because of Yun Yun. Unfortunately, no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't win Yun Yun's heart. Instead, he was treated coldly by her. But even so, he still didn't give up, remaining steadfastly by Yun Yun's side, only hoping that she could feel his sincerity. For this reason, Gu He had persevered until now. Looking at the lost expression on Gu He's face, Yun Yun sighed softly and said, "Big brother Gu He, I only see you as a brother, and I have no other feelings for you. So you still shouldn't waste your time on Yun Yun." Hearing Yun Yun's words, Gu He felt a pang in his heart. A bitter smile flashed across his face, and he murmured in a low voice, "Like a brother." Seeing Gu He in such a state, Yun Yun also sighed, but she didn't say anything more. Although Gu He was very kind to her, she had no romantic feelings for him. Moreover, she also bore the mission of the sect, so she had even fewer other choices. After a long while, "Sect leader Yun, then I will take my leave first." Seeing that Yun Yun was unwilling to speak further with him, Gu He's face showed a desolate expression. He cupped his hands towards Yun Yun and then stepped out of the main hall. Watching Gu He's dispirited back, a trace of guilt inevitably arose in Yun Yun's heart. However, she truly had no extra feelings for Gu He, so she could only hope that Gu He would find his own happiness as soon as possible. Qingshan Town. This is a small town in the Jiama Empire, located in the eastern part of the magical Beast Mountain Range. Because of its remote location, it is not prosperous, and the flow of people is sparse. Therefore, most of the residents in this small town are ordinary commoners without powerful cultivators. This also led to extremely poor order in the town. Those with a bit of cultivation often caused trouble or formed powerful mercenary groups to rob the property of those passing through. Today in the town, the scorching sun shone on the ground, as if to scorch the earth. Most of the passers-by wore thin clothing, either resting in the shade of trees or sitting on a clean patch of grass, a leisurely scene that brought comfort to the heart. At this moment, on a wide road, Zai Tianxiao, dressed in black, arrived quietly. Qingshan Town. The place is indeed barren. Most people haven't even reached due practitioner in strength. Zai Tianxiao scanned his surroundings and murmured to himself. "Stop." Suddenly, just then, a loud shout came from ahead, and a group of people quickly approached Zai Tianxiao. Zai Tianxiao looked over, only to see about 20 people, all ranging from Du Zhai Kai, Battle Energy, 7th stage to Du Practitioner, and the leader was a 5-star Du Practitioner. "What is it?" There was not a ripple in Zai Tianxiao's tone, as calm as still water. "Kid, this is your first time in Qingshan Town, isn't it? Don't you know that all newcomers here have to pay us 1,000 gold coins as protection money? Otherwise, we can't guarantee your safety here." The leading 5-star Du Practitioner stared intently at Zai Tianxiao, a bloodthirsty glint flashing in his eyes. Although Zai Tianxiao was only dressed in black and carried nothing, the exquisite storage ring on his hand clearly revealed Zai Tianxiao's identity as a wealthy person. If he were just an ordinary cultivator, he would absolutely not be able to afford such a precious item as a storage ring. Oh no, that young man actually ran into Mu Zhu. Yeah, his luck is really bad. That Mu Zhu is a 5-star Du practitioner, and he's from the Wolf Head mercenary group. Sai, you'd think this young man doesn't look like he comes from a poor background. Why didn't he bring some guards to Kingshan Town? Who knows, maybe he's very confident in his own strength. Perhaps. The pedestrians standing not far away upon seeing the leader all began to discuss. They lamented that Zai Tiangxiao's luck was truly too poor. He had just arrived and already encountered ruthless individuals like Mu Zhu from the Wolf Head mercenary group. Chapter 34. Blackmail from Extras. Chapter 34. Extortion from a skippable Mu Zhu's fierce reputation had long spread throughout Kingshan Town. As the top general under the mercenary group's second-in-command, even some veteran Du practitioner in Kingshan Town would avoid Mu Zhu. Mu Zhu usually liked to bring some of his subordinates to specifically rob the valuables of passing caravans or pedestrians who were not strong. Even some weaker female cultivators were no exception. Because of such actions, he had offended many people in Kingshan Town. However, due to Mu Zhu's powerful strength and his backing from the Wolf Head mercenary group, those who were robbed dared not speak out in anger and could only consider themselves unlucky. Protection fee, 1,000 gold coins. It seems you are very confident in your own strength. Zai Tiangxiao said, looking at the man in front of him with a slight curl of his lips. Zai Tiangxiao hadn't expected to be robbed and extorted by a Du practitioner on this trip. He truly didn't know what to say. Less nonsense. This is just your protection fee for Kingshan Town. If you don't pay, you won't leave here alive. Mu Zhu, the leader, waved his hand and coldly snorted with an arrogant expression. Is that so? Are you so sure I'm not your opponent and that I haven't brought any experts? Zai Tiangxiao asked in return, a playful radiance curving his lips. Hearing this, Mu Zhu's expression changed slightly, then a sinister smile appeared on his face. Stop bluffing here. When you first arrived, our brothers observed that you didn't bring any powerful experts. As for your strength, I am a 5-star Du practitioner. How high can the cultivation of a rich young master like you, in his 20s, be? At most, you've just broken through to Du practitioner. Mu Zhu said, continuously sizing up Zai Tiangxiao, seemingly waiting for Zai Tiangxiao to show a look of fear. However, to Mu Zhu's disappointment, Zai Tiangxiao's face always held a faint sneer, as if he hadn't taken his words to heart at all. This made Mu Zhu secretly frown. He wondered where Zai Tiangxiao got the courage to despise him so much. He was simply courting death. Kid, since you're so uncooperative, don't blame me, Mu Zhu, for not giving you a chance. Everyone attack him, kill him, and we'll split the property 70-30. Mu Zhu's face darkened, and he waved his hand, instructing his subordinates around him. Yes, boss, understood. The subordinates behind Mu Zhu all responded in unison after hearing his command. Then, one by one, they leaped up, wielding their weapons, and swiftly charged towards Zai Tiangxiao, truly courting death. Watching the charging crowd, a chilling glint flashed across Zai Tiangxiao's face, and then he lightly snapped his fingers. A black and white flame instantly ignited beneath the feet of the dozen or so people who charged forward, engulfing them. Before anyone could even scream, in the blink of an eye, the dozen or so people who had charged forward were completely consumed by the flames, turning into ashes. Seeing this, Mu Zhu's face drastically changed, and he looked at Zai Tiangxiao in horror. How is this possible? What kind of method is this? Mu Zhu was incredibly shocked. In just a blink of an eye, his subordinates were completely burned to ashes by the flames that the other party had conjured from who knows where. You are called Mu Zhu. Never mind 1,000 gold coins, even if it were 100,000 gold coins, if this lord gave them to you, you still wouldn't be able to take them. Zai Tiangxiao glanced at Mu Zhu disdainfully and replied indifferently, Who exactly are you? Mu Zhu's face was ashen, yet he didn't know what to say, because Zai Tiangxiao's methods were truly inconceivable, making Mu Zhu feel disbelief. Are you scared, silly? It doesn't matter, because ever since you stopped this lord, you were destined to die. After Zai Tiangxiao finished speaking, his figure flickered, and he instantly appeared in front of Mu Zhu. Seeing Zai Tiangxiao suddenly appear before him, Mu Zhu was so frightened that he quickly retreated a few steps, saying in terror, You can't kill me. My elder brother is the second in command of the Wolf Head mercenary group. If you kill me, you won't be able to leave Kingshan Town. The Wolf Head mercenary group, the largest force in Kingshan Town, boasted hundreds of members, and its leader was even a Do Master expert, whose might shook the entire Kingshan Town. Sai, I don't know if you're making a desperate gamble or truly foolish, still threatening this lord at a time like this. Never mind, I don't want to waste any more time. Zai Tianxiao shook his head. As soon as his words fell, Mu Zu's head exploded with a bang, and crimson blood splattered out. Ah, that's Mu Zu. Mu Zu is dead. He actually killed Mu Zu, oh heavens. Mu Zu was a 5-star Do practitioner rampant in Kingshan Town for many years. To think he would fall here today. Who exactly is this young man? Seeing Mu Zu's corpse fall to the ground, the faces of those nearby were filled with shock, and their gazes towards Zai Tianxiao were full of fear. I really didn't expect that I would encounter such an ignorant mook looking for trouble. Zai Tianxiao sighed softly and continued. Not far ahead should be Wan Yao Pharmacy, where Zio Yizian is located. Speaking of Zio Yizian, Zai Tianxiao had already conceived the idea of snatching several of the main female characters from battle through the heavens after meeting Yafei in Wooten City. So after leaving Wooten City, he came directly to Kingshan Town. His purpose was to meet this kind, lovely, and somewhat clever girl from the original work. With that thought, his powerful soul force swept out. It should be her. In just a moment, Zai Tianxiao murmured. His figure flickered again, and he arrived outside a shop with the words Wan Yao Pharmacy written on it. Outside Wan Yao Pharmacy, crowds gathered, a bustling clamor of voices, with groups of people surrounding the shop entrance, some wanting to watch the excitement, others wanting to enter. In addition, there was a long, neat queue stretching out from the shop, dozens of meters long. Most of the people in this queue were mercenaries or cultivators with some strength. They were burly and had fierce expressions, clearly not to be trifled with. However, at this moment, these people were all covered in wounds, their faces filled with pain, looking weak and exhausted. Hey, don't push, keep your head down, don't block my view of Zio Yizian. You're cutting in line, get back. A mercenary glared at the man standing in front of him and cursed. What do you mean? That's exactly what I mean. What, not convinced? Let's fight if you're not. Fight then, like I'm scared of you. A group of people were arguing and jostling with each other. Some of these people were queuing to buy medicine or see a doctor, while others were just there to join the fun and catch a glimpse of Zio Yizian's beauty. There are really a lot of people, as expected of Zio Yizian. Although Zai Tianxiao already knew that she was very popular and was the goddess in the hearts of Kingshan Town's men, seeing this situation, he couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. Subsequently, powerful Du Kai battle Kai emanated from Zai Tianxiao. It instantly forced back the crowd in front of him, clearing a path. Thank you all for your recommendation votes, and Shangshan Ruishui for 1 monthly pass. Thank you. Chapter 35. First meeting with the Little Dr. Fairy. Chapter 35. First meeting with Zio Yizian. Damn it, who's pushing me? What's going on? This surge of Du Kai also caused the surrounding crowd to turn their heads, looking over with expressions of displeasure. But then, upon seeing the Du Kai radiating from around Zai Tianxiao, they couldn't help but swallow, their faces showing shock and even fear. Du Kai released externally, it's actually a great Do Master expert. Hiss, when did such a powerful being arrive in Kingshan Town? What happened? Who's causing trouble again? Just then, a manager from Wan Yao Pharmacy walked out from inside. He frowned immediately upon seeing the scene before him. Are you in charge here? Zai Tianxiao glanced at the manager and said indifferently. Hearing this voice, the manager turned his head to look at Zai Tianxiao. He was about to get angry, but then he saw the Du Kai that had not yet dissipated from Zai Tianxiao's body. The manager's face changed, his lips trembled, and he quickly said respectfully, I didn't realize such a distinguished guest had arrived. Please forgive me. Oh heavens, Du Kai leaving the body, he's at least a great Do Master. It's a good thing he reacted quickly and didn't curse out loud, otherwise the consequences would have been unimaginable. Seeing the manager's attitude, Zai Tianxiao said calmly, I'm just helping you clear out some irrelevant people. Is that a problem? No problem, no problem. The manager quickly shook his head and continued. These people don't do anything but block the entrance and affect Wan Yao Pharmacy's business. It's a great favor to Wan Yao Pharmacy that you can separate them. Zai Tianxiao glanced at the manager and nodded slightly. You're quite good. You overpraise me, sir. The manager chuckled awkwardly and continued. May I ask, what do you need, sir? Is Zio Yizian here? Zai Tianxiao asked calmly. The manager was stunned, not expecting Zai Tianxiao to be looking for Zio Yizian. He quickly said, Yes, Zio Yizian is in the back room. Please follow me. With that, the manager made a gesture for him to follow. Zai Tianxiao nodded and stepped inside. The manager walked and called out, Zio Yizian, a gentleman is looking for you. In the inner shop, a woman in a light white dress was sitting at a table, meticulously preparing medicines. Beside her, a pile of bottles and jars was arranged, making the room fragrant with the scent of herbs. What is it, Steward Liu? Apparently hearing the manager calling her, the woman in white stopped her movements and asked in a soft voice, This gentleman is looking for you. Steward Liu led Zai Tianxiao into the shop, then pointed at the woman in the light white dress and said, Sir, this is Zio Yizian. Hearing this, Zai Tianxiao's gaze fell upon Zio Yizian. She was dressed in a light white dress, her skin as delicate as congealed fat. Although her appearance couldn't be called absolutely stunning, she was certainly a rare beauty. Her gently smiling face exuded a fresh and ethereal aura. This unique temperament instantly greatly enhanced the woman's charm. And that slender waist, easily grasped with one hand, was cinched by a green sash, appearing exceptionally delicate and fragile. All of this combined made Zai Tianxiao's heart stir. What a truly beautiful waist! How could such a perfect waist exist in the world? Zai Tianxiao secretly praised her in his heart. However, he didn't show it on his face, still speaking with his usual calm expression. You are Zio Yizian, aren't you? As he spoke, Zai Tianxiao also glanced at Steward Liu. Yes. Seeing this, Steward Liu replied and then tactfully exited the room, closing the door behind him, leaving the two with some privacy. Looking at Zai Tianxiao, who had come before her, Zio Yizian was slightly startled and politely said, Hello, are you also here to see me for treatment? Although Zai Tianxiao's appearance wasn't that of a dashing young master, he was still quite handsome, especially the extraordinary and ethereal aura about him, which surprised Zio Yizian. See a doctor, what an ancient term. Zai Tianxiao smiled, then looked at her slender waist and said, I've heard that Zio Yizian's reputation spreads throughout Qingshan town, and she is the goddess in the hearts of all men. Seeing you today, it truly lives up to your reputation. You've certainly piqued my interest. Zai Tianxiao knew that these words might cause Zio Yizian to misunderstand, but he not only wasn't afraid of misunderstanding, he actually wanted it. Because only then could he attract Zio Yizian's attention and make her remember him. After all, for a first meeting, especially with a girl like Zio Yizian, if you act too ordinary, the other person will only treat you as a passerby. Once you leave, who will remember you? Of course, this also depends on your understanding of the other person and the strength of your own power. Because Zai Tianxiao had read the original novel and knew what kind of girl Zio Yizian was, coupled with his strength, he could act this way. If you don't understand the other person at all and your strength isn't formidable, then it's best not to do this. Otherwise, you'll just be asking for trouble and waiting to be laughed at. This guy, hearing this, Zio Yizian couldn't help but be stunned. What was wrong with this person? He was fine just a moment ago, but now he's suddenly praising her beauty, and he even said he was very interested. Could he be a scoundrel who looks good on the outside but secretly wants to possess her? Indeed, you can't judge a book by its cover. This guy clearly has ill intentions. This girl was almost deceived by his appearance. Thinking of this, Zio Yizian couldn't help but quickly retreat, staring at Zai Tianxiao warily and saying, What do you want to do, you guy? I warn you not to mess around. I'm not some easy target. As she spoke, Zio Yizian even waved her small fists a few times. Zio Yizian, you are truly interesting. Looking at Zio Yizian's actions, Zai Tianxiao couldn't help but laugh. What are you laughing at? Am I wrong? Zhao Yixian glared at Zai Tianxiao. You really have quite an imagination. I just glanced at your waist, that's all. I haven't done anything bad to you yet, so why do you think I have ulterior motives? Zai Tianxiao teased. You scoundrel. Zhao Yixian's pretty face turned red from Zai Tianxiao's words. She pointed at him angrily and said, Anyway, you're not allowed to harbor any designs on me. I'm not some girl you can toy with. Although she didn't know Zai Tianxiao's identity that allowed Steward Liu to call him Seer. But Zhao Yixian wasn't someone to be easily manipulated. If Zai Tianxiao dared to mess around, she guaranteed she would make him have diarrhea for 3 days and 3 nights. I merely spoke the truth. How is that having designs on you? Zai Tianxiao said indifferently. Are you kidding? Can that be called having designs? That's just an appreciation of beauty. Tian Zhao definitely won't have designs on her now. HMPH, who knows what you're thinking? Anyway, you have ill intentions. Zhao Yixian huffed angrily, and as she spoke, she glared fiercely at Zai Tianxiao with her beautiful eyes. She looked as if she was warning Zai Tianxiao, if you say another word, I won't be polite. I've made some revisions. It's not good to always refer to oneself as this humble one. Chapter 36, Poison Body. Chapter 36, Poison Body. All right, I was just joking and teasing you earlier. Zai Tianxiao dropped his playful expression and then said seriously, I came here this time because I want to tell you something. What is it? If you're not here to see me for a medical consultation, then please leave. Zhao Yixian ignored why Zai Tianxiao had suddenly become serious and continued coldly. Also, I'm not some great beauty. I'm just an ordinary young doctor in Qingshan town. Clearly, she didn't like Zai Tianxiao's teasing words from before. A young doctor. Zai Tianxiao paid no mind to Zhao Yixian's attitude, instead asking, Your dream is to become an alchemist, not a doctor, isn't it? How do you know? Zhao Yixian was a little surprised, not understanding how Zai Tianxiao knew. She did indeed want to become an alchemist, because only by becoming one could she refine elixirs. And elixirs were many times more potent than the herbal medicines she concocted, and only elixirs could treat more illnesses and save more lives. But Zhao Yixian knew that becoming an alchemist was very difficult, though she had never given up. It was just that due to certain reasons, she could only settle for being a doctor. Heh, what I know is beyond your imagination. Zai Tianxiao chuckled and continued. Are you not curious why, no matter how hard you try, you haven't been able to become an alchemist? Zhao Yixian remained silent, because Zai Tianxiao was right. She was indeed curious about this, but curious as she was, she still didn't answer Zai Tianxiao's question. Seeing Zhao Yixian's silence, Zai Tianxiao continued, the condition for becoming an alchemist is to have a fire elemental physique with a trace of wood attribute within it, and you don't, so you can't become one. So that's how it is, it needs to have fire and wood attributes. Listening to Zai Tianxiao's answer, Zhao Yixian murmured, no wonder she couldn't become an alchemist. It wasn't because she wasn't diligent enough, but because her physique didn't meet the requirements, which is why she had always been unable to achieve it. Speaking of which, it's also because this place of yours is too small. There isn't even an alchemist, not even the lowest grade, which is why you don't know these basic facts, Zai Tianxiao further explained. Hearing these words, Zhao Yixian seemed to think of something, so she looked up at Zai Tianxiao and said, You said just now that you are very powerful. Can you change my physique and make me an alchemist? If you can make me an alchemist, I will forgive your previous rudeness. Looking at Zhao Yixian's expectant eyes, Zai Tianxiao still shook his head and said, Alchemist physique is something innate. Although this lord's strength is very strong, he has not reached the point where he can change a person's physique. The reason alchemists are so rare and precious is that often, out of 10,000 people, not even one is born with a fire elemental physique containing a wood attribute. Moreover, if everyone could change their physique through external forces, this world would probably fall into chaos. So that means I'll never be able to become an alchemist, Zhao Yixian said with some disappointment. Yes, Zai Tianxiao nodded. Hearing Zai Tianxiao's affirmative answer, Zhao Yixian lowered her head in dejection and said no more. Originally, she had hoped that Zai Tianxiao, coming from a powerful faction, could change her physique, but now she realized it was just a delusion, and she felt a little sad. Zai Tianxiao looked at Xiao Yixian's downcast expression and comforted her. Just because you can't become an alchemist doesn't mean you can't do other things. Other things, what are they? Xiao Yixian looked up, puzzled. Poison Master. Zai Tianxiao simply uttered two words. What? Xiao Yixian exclaimed in surprise upon hearing Zai Tianxiao's words. These two words had too great an impact on her. Poison Master. This term might be unfamiliar to ordinary people, but to cultivators, it was a name that resonated like thunder. Besides alchemists, there was another system on the Fighting Kai continent, and this system was called Poison Master. Poison Masters do not help the world. They are ruthless, acting solely for their own benefit, and no one is willing to befriend a Poison Master, especially in the Jia Ma Empire, where they are reviled by everyone. Are you all right? Why would I become a reviled Poison Master? Xiao Yixian said to Zai Tianxiao in disbelief. You're wrong. In fact, a Poison Master is also a branch of alchemists and can also be used to save people. It's just that some ruthless individuals commit heinous acts, which is why they are reviled by the world, Zai Tianxiao explained. Hearing Zai Tianxiao's words, Xiao Yixian couldn't help but frown, lost in thought. After a long while, Xiao Yixian said with some suspicion, Do you really think so, in this lord's eyes? Although poison masters use poison, it depends on who is using it and who is being killed. Zai Tianxiao glanced at Xiao Yixian, then continued, Besides, with your physique, becoming a poison master is only a matter of time. What do you mean? I don't know what you're talking about, and I don't want to become a poison master. Hearing Zai Tianxiao's words, Xiao Yixian quickly retorted. Zai Tianxiao didn't pay attention to Xiao Yixian's reaction, merely saying indifferently, That's not up to you. You should also be aware of the problems your body usually experiences. You shut up, you're talking nonsense. My body is perfectly fine. How could there be any problems? Xiao Yixian's emotions were very agitated, as if she was trying to conceal something. No problems. Seeing Xiao Yixian's agitated appearance, Zai Tianxiao smiled and shook his head, then continued. There is a rather peculiar special physique in this world. Its possessor has a small, 7-colored hidden line on her lower abdomen and is born with extreme poison. When it flares up, anyone who touches her will die instantly, and she needs to rely on consuming poison to survive. However, the more poison she consumes, the denser the toxins within her body become. Once the toxins accumulate to a certain point, they will completely erupt. When it erupts, all life within 1,000 li will be destroyed. After Zai Tianxiao finished speaking, he looked at the pale-faced Xiao Yixian. Why is this happening? I don't believe it, I won't believe it. Xiao Yixian suddenly shouted loudly, her face growing paler and her eyes gradually turning red. Her entire state became extremely poor, as if she could collapse at any moment. This physique is called the Calamity Poison Body. And you are the possessor of this physique, Zai Tianxiao said slowly. No, I'm not, you're a liar, you must be lying to me, right? Xiao Yixian's emotions were somewhat out of control, and she screamed hysterically at Zai Tianxiao. No wonder she sometimes had an irresistible desire for poison and occasionally fainted inexplicably. Then a powerful poisonous gas would erupt, affecting or even poisoning anyone who came into contact with her. Chapter 37. Why help me? Chapter 37. Why are you helping me? At this moment, Xiao Yixian felt an unprecedented pressure. Her body actually harbored such a constitution. This was simply a torment from the heavens for her, a doctor who loved to save lives. Calm down first. Although reality is like this, you don't need to worry too much. Zai Tianxiao's words sounded in Xiao Yixian's ears. Seeing Xiao Yixian's distraught appearance, Zai Tianxiao understood what she was thinking. Then, Zai Tianxiao stepped forward and helped Xiao Yixian sit down. Get away from me. I don't need your fake concern. Xiao Yixian shook off Zai Tianxiao's hand and shouted loudly. Seeing this, Zai Tianxiao was not angry and still said indifferently, although I cannot change your constitution, that prevents you from becoming an alchemist. I can, however, allow you to control and even master this calamity poison body, making it work for you. Upon hearing this, Xiao Yixian immediately looked up at Zai Tiangxiao. Really? You said you can control my calamity poison body. Xiao Yixian's gaze was full of suspicion, as if she didn't quite believe Zai Tiangxiao's words. It's not me controlling it, it's me enabling you to control and master it, Zai Tiangxiao replied. Why should I believe you? And how do you know I have this constitution? Even I didn't know about it. Xiao Yixian was still full of doubts. She had been too shocked to think about how Zai Tiangxiao knew about her constitution when she heard that she had the harmful calamity poison body. Now, upon closer thought, she realized that Zai Tiangxiao seemed to have come specifically for her and already knew the reason why she possessed the calamity poison body, and she clearly remembered that she had never told anyone about her physical condition. How do I know? With your Duzhai Kai strength, which isn't even that of a novice, do you think you can hide it from my eyes? Zai Tiangxiao said with some disdain. You, HMPH. Hearing Zai Tiangxiao mock her strength so much, Xiao Yixian let out a cold snort but didn't say much more. She felt that Zai Tiangxiao was so arrogant, always referring to himself as this venerable one, so his strength should be above that of a Du master. After all, the leader of the Wolf Head mercenary group was a Du master expert, and he was usually extremely arrogant in Qingshan Town. As for whether you believe me or not, that's up to you, because out of a craving for poison, you will eventually become a poison master. By then, your poison body will erupt, becoming more severe each time. If it cannot be controlled, your situation will become quite dire, and you might not even live for a few more years. Zai Tiangxiao said word by word. Is it really that serious? After hearing Zai Tiangxiao's words, Xiao Yixian was a little stunned. In fact, when he pointed out that a calamity poison body possessor would have a 7-colored hidden line on her lower abdomen and a series of symptoms, she already believed Zai Tiangxiao's words, because her body indeed had such symptoms. Then, why are you helping me? After a short silence, Xiao Yixian suddenly asked. She and Zai Tiangxiao were strangers, yet he not only told her about her poison body, but also said he would help her control and master it. This made her feel very strange. She didn't believe Zai Tiangxiao would do it without any conditions. I certainly wouldn't help you for no reason. Zai Tiangxiao glanced at Xiao Yixian and continued, once a calamity poison body possessor grows up alive, her strength will be at the peak of the entire continent. So, you're using me to achieve your goals later. Xiao Yixian sneered. Using you. My strength has already half-stepped into the peak of the continent. Why would I need to use you? Zai Tiangxiao lightly glanced at Xiao Yixian and continued. I just felt pity for you, developed a desire to nurture talent, and wanted to win you over in advance. HMPH, bragging and a desire to nurture talent. I think you just have ill intentions towards this young lady. Xiao Yixian let out a cold snort and said disdainfully, cough, cough. Hearing this, Zai Tiangxiao couldn't help but cough twice, then said indifferently, how could I have ill intentions towards you, you washboard? What use could you be? Good heavens, was he that obvious? You bastard, being called a washboard. Xiao Yixian reacted like a cat whose tail had been stepped on, scolding Zai Tiangxiao, you're the washboard. Where am I a washboard? As she spoke, she even puffed out her still undeveloped chest. He. Watching Xiao Yixian puff out her chest, Zai Tiangxiao couldn't help but laugh. Sorry, even if Zai Tiangxiao tried to maintain his image, he still couldn't hold back his laughter at Xiao Yixian's actions. Xiao Yixian became even more furious when she heard Zai Tiangxiao's laughter. She glared fiercely at Zai Tiangxiao, scolding, you hateful guy, laughing, you still dare to laugh. You just wait, see how I get my revenge on you. As she spoke, she put her small hand behind her back, and a handful of itching powder appeared in her hand. She then sprinkled the itching powder towards Zai Tiangxiao. However, the powder, before it even reached Zai Tiangxiao, miraculously evaporated, and her slender hand was also caught by Zai Tiangxiao. You little girl, you even dare to play sneak attack. Looking at Xiao Yixian, whose wrist he was holding, Zai Tiangxiao couldn't help but find it amusing. What are you doing? You pervert, let go of this young lady. Xiao Yixian struggled in panic, but no matter how hard she tried to break free, she couldn't escape Zai Tiangxiao's restraint. You stinky bastard, let me go. Xiao Yixian glared at Zai Tiangxiao, wishing she could eat him, yet feeling helpless. You stinky girl, don't move around, otherwise I can't guarantee I'll be so kind to you. Seeing Xiao Yixian struggle endlessly, Zai Tiangxiao threatened her. Xiao Yixian, hearing Zai Tiangxiao's threat, dared not move anymore, only glaring fiercely at Zai Tiangxiao. Looking at the now quiet Xiao Yixian, Zai Tiangxiao gently released her wrist, then said, I told you, I'm very interested in you, and I also plan to create a super force later. But there aren't many talented people, so I need you to join. What not many talented people? This was purely Zai Tiangxiao talking nonsense. A half-saint like him wouldn't be afraid of not having geniuses join, but these words couldn't be spoken too directly, otherwise it would lose its meaning. In summary, those who know, know. HMPH, I knew you had ill intentions. Xiao Yixian rolled her eyes at him and said, inviting a poison master who will possess the calamity poison body to join, aren't you afraid of ruining your territory? Xiao Yixian was clearly not too keen on Zai Tiangxiao's invitation. You don't need to worry about that. With my strength, dealing with a calamity poison body is quite easy. After speaking, Zai Tiangxiao even glanced at her indifferently, his meaning self-evident. Do as you please, but I won't agree. Xiao Yixian snorted coldly again, refusing Zai Tiangxiao's invitation. She currently only wanted to spend her time in Qingshan Town, being a happy Xiao Yixian, and not listen to an unfamiliar stranger bossing her around and saying inexplicable things. Chapter 38, The Confused Little Doctor. Chapter 38, The Confused Xiao Yixian. I don't care if you agree or not, because the outcome will be the same. Seeing Xiao Yixian refuse, Zai Tiangxiao wasn't annoyed, he just spoke with an indifferent attitude. At this moment, Zai Tiangxiao had returned to his previous calm and composed demeanor, as if nothing could stir his emotions in the slightest. Moreover, the matter of a faction was just something Zai Tiangxiao mentioned casually. He wasn't planning to implement it immediately. After all, he only had the idea for now. What did you mean? Seeing Zai Tiangxiao like this, Xiao Yixian frowned in confusion and looked at him. Literally, you know my strength. Hearing this, Zai Tiangxiao glanced at her indifferently and continued. If I wanted to do anything to you, you wouldn't be able to resist at all. So don't try to challenge my patience. You, HMPH, you bad guy. Seeing Zai Tiangxiao warn her with a serious expression, Xiao Yixian dared not speak carelessly anymore. She wasn't afraid of Zai Tiangxiao's threat. If he forced her, she would rather die than let him have his way. But she wasn't foolish. She understood that what Zai Tiangxiao said was true, and the reason he was so tolerant of her was likely because, as he said, he was genuinely interested in her. All right, no more unnecessary talk. Seeing Xiao Yixian no longer refute him, Zai Tiangxiao continued, now, let's discuss controlling your calamity poison body. Oh, I almost forgot about that. Xiao Yixian nodded, then asked, so what method do you plan to use to help me, and what should I do? Hearing Zai Tiangxiao talk about helping her control her poison body, Xiao Yixian also became serious. She truly wanted to solve this problem. Otherwise, once her poison body erupted and she couldn't control it, she might kill many innocent people around her. Looking at Xiao Yixian, who was staring at him intently, Zai Tiangxiao slowly said, to control the calamity poison body, you must gather all the accumulated toxins within your body and condense them into a poison pill. Is that all? Is there more? Xiao Yixian suddenly asked in confusion, clearly dissatisfied with Zai Tiangxiao's method. Don't rush, let me finish. Seeing this, Zai Tiangxiao waved his hand and then said, and to successfully refine the poison pill, 3 things are needed. These 3 things are 3 different types of heavenly flames, the demon core of a rank 7 heavenly poison scorpion dragon beast, and Bodhi transformation saliva. As Zai Tiangxiao's words fell, the room fell into a brief silence. A moment later, Xiao Yixian frowned and said, do you know what you're saying? Not to mention that I have no hope of getting that rank 7 demon core, even those legendary heavenly flames, you need 3 types. And that Bodhi transformation saliva, I've never even heard of it, Xiao Yixian said speechlessly. She felt very foolish and naive to have actually believed Zai Tiangxiao's nonsense, being tricked by him completely. Just because you haven't heard of it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Zai Tianxiao glanced at Xiao Yizian indifferently and said, "And don't use your ignorance to doubt my words." "All right, you're amazing, I was wrong." Seeing Zai Tianxiao's serious expression, Xiao Yizian dared not say anything more. After all, he was a strong individual from the outside, not someone a small physician like her could compare to. "It's good that you understand." Seeing Xiao Yizian soften, Zai Tianxiao no longer paid attention to her, simply saying, "As for the three things this seat just mentioned, you don't need to worry, this seat will find them myself." "What, you'll find them for me?" Hearing this, Xiao Yizian was surprised, somewhat disbelieving. She had often contradicted him before, yet he still said he would help her, which made her feel a little strange inside. But then, Xiao Yizian shook her head and said, "That's a rank 7 magical beast, equivalent to a Du Zong battle sect, realm among humans. You still shouldn't go, don't waste your life for nothing." Although she only had Du Zhai Kai, battle Kai, cultivation, and limited knowledge, she still knew about rank 7 magical beasts in the cultivation world. It could be said that no one in the entire Jiama Empire could contend with a rank 7 magical beast, so she didn't believe Zai Tianxiao possessed such strength. Du Zong, battle sect. It's just a rank 7 magical beast. I haven't even taken it to heart. Zai Tianxiao smiled disdainfully, then continued, "As for the other types of heavenly flames and Bodhi transformation saliva, I can also find them. It's just a bit troublesome." The latter two items were merely a matter of time for Zai Tianxiao. For Zai Tianxiao, who possessed the devouring system, the things needed to control the poison body were undoubtedly very simple. Leaving aside the rank 7 demon core, not to mention 3 types of heavenly flames, even all heavenly flames wouldn't be a problem, and the Bodhi transformation saliva in the Black Corner region could be obtained with ease. And there was still some time before Xiao Yizian's poison body would activate, so he wasn't in a hurry. "So you do say troublesome. I thought you wouldn't use that word." Hearing Zai Tianxiao's words, Xiao Yizian pouted, somewhat forlornly saying, "Never mind still, thank you, you scoundrel, for telling me all this. I will find a way to get those things in the future." Xiao Yizian had never thought she could gather the 3 items Zai Tianxiao mentioned. She said this only because she didn't want Zai Tianxiao to look down on her. Besides, she didn't want to trouble Zai Tianxiao, even if he truly had the strength. What did it have to do with her, Xiao Yizian? Now, she could only pray that she could restrain her desire to take poisonous medicine to prevent the activation of her calamity poison body. This way, within the limited time she had, she could be a beloved Xiao Yizian of Qingshan Town. You go get them. You, a weakling who isn't even a Du practitioner, where would you get them? You're more likely to just wait for death. Seeing Xiao Yizian's rather resolute attitude, Zai Tianxiao sneered and mocked her. You look down on people too much. I'm not some pampered princess who knows nothing. I won't go seeking death." Hearing Zai Tianxiao mock her so, Xiao Yizian immediately flared up, glaring at Zai Tianxiao and saying, "Stop being stubborn. If you truly want to control this calamity poison body, then listen to my arrangements. Otherwise, I don't need to do anything for you," Zai Tianxiao said lightly. If Xiao Yizian truly chose not to control the poison body, Zai Tianxiao wouldn't suffer any loss. It would just be a pity to lose a woman with the potential of a Du Sheng, battle saint. Otherwise, he wouldn't have come here to say all this. Hearing Zai Tianxiao still ask if she wanted to control the poison body, Xiao Yizian said somewhat blankly, "But haven't I already refused to join your so-called faction? You're still willing to help me." Xiao Yizian certainly wanted to control it. Given a chance to live, who would want to die? She just couldn't figure out what Zai Tianxiao truly meant. He had no reason to help her. She didn't believe he was attracted to her. She was just a small physician in Qingshan Town, and she carried the calamity poison body. With Zai Tianxiao's immense strength, if he truly had any ill intentions towards her, she wouldn't be able to stop him with her power. But he didn't. Instead, he went to great lengths to help her find things to control the poison body, which greatly confused her. Could there really be such a thing as a free lunch? To fellow readers who have followed this far, please read to the end. When I wrote the first 2 chapters, I felt the protagonist's personality was a bit off, but I also didn't want the protagonist to be cold all the time. After all, she will be his in the future, and Xiao Yixian has this kind of personality, so I didn't bother, and even deleted many dialogues. Also, let me mention in advance that the protagonist's attitude towards each heroine later on will be determined by the heroine's own personality. But he won't be a simp, rest assured. Finally, regarding updates, I mentioned before that I type slowly. It takes me about 3 hours to write one chapter, and I can only write after getting off work and coming home. So, being able to update one chapter is already my best effort. Readers who aren't satisfied can wait a few days before reading. It's my honor that this book has gained some of your affection, and that you're even urging for more updates. I don't care about the book's performance, because I'm not writing this book to make money or anything. It will likely be free later on. Chapter 39, Mr. Yao's Invitation. Chapter 39, Mr. Yao's Invitation. How about it? Are you moved? Are you realizing that you shouldn't go against me? Zai Tianxiao looked at Xiao Yixian with a hint of playfulness. Tui, tui, tui. Xiao Yixian pretended to spit, then said, "Who's moved? This girl is just curious why a master like you would come to help a weak woman like me." Hearing this, Zai Tianxiao laughed a little and said, "Are you out of your mind? I already told you I'm very interested in you. Isn't that enough to explain it? You're the one who's out of your mind." Hearing this, Xiao Yixian glared at Zai Tianxiao in dissatisfaction, then added, "Who cares if you're interested in me? If you have nothing else to do, get out. This girl still needs to prepare herbs, so I won't keep you company." After speaking, Xiao Yixian even gave Zai Tianxiao a look of disdain. "What, now that you understand the calamity poison body, you want to kick me out?" Seeing this, Zai Tianxiao's face showed a playful expression as he spoke. "Otherwise, are you expecting me to keep you for dinner?" Xiao Yixian said irritably. "I don't mind." Zai Tianxiao replied indifferently. Xiao Yixian was furious and about to erupt. But then Zai Tianxiao turned and walked out, saying as he went, "Too bad though, I still need to find those few things. Let's save dinner for next time." Zai Tianxiao hadn't considered taking Xiao Yixian with him, but what was the use? Not only would he be bringing along a burden, but she wouldn't like it either. It would be better to wait until her poison body activated after some time, then he would come over. At that point, Xiao Yixian would naturally leave Qingshan town. Wait a minute, are you really going to look for them? Seeing Zai Tianxiao say he was going to look for the things needed to condense the poison pill, Xiao Yixian couldn't help but exclaim. They had only met once, and she didn't understand why Zai Tianxiao was being so good to her. Zai Tianxiao didn't answer her directly, only waved his hand behind him and said, "No need to see me off, you stubborn little brat." Watching his disappearing figure, Xiao Yixian quickly shouted, "Hey, you scoundrel, what's your name?" As if he hadn't heard Xiao Yixian's question, Zai Tianxiao quickly vanished from her sight. "What the heck? This scoundrel actually ignored me, how infuriating." Seeing Zai Tianxiao disappear without a word, Xiao Yixian said angrily. But then, a hint of disappointment arose in her heart, and she didn't know why she felt this way. "My name is Zai Tianxiao, remember it, little girl." At this moment, Zai Tianxiao's voice suddenly echoed in Xiao Yixian's ears. HMPH, pretending to be mysterious, annoying guy. Xiao Yixian, hearing this, angrily cursed a few times, then mumbled, "Zai Tianxiao, Zai Tianxiao. Ugh, that name is truly awful. Never mind, I won't talk about it anymore. I still have a pile of medicinal herbs to deal with." After shaking her head slightly, Xiao Yixian continued to tinker with the herbs in her hands. After bidding farewell to Xiao Yixian, Zai Tianxiao did not leave Qingshan town directly. Instead, he was stopped outside Wan Yao Pharmacy by two middle-aged men. "Esteemed sir, please stay." One of the middle-aged men, dressed in a white robe, said to Zai Tianxiao, who had arrived outside the Wan Yao Pharmacy. "Something wrong?" Zai Tianxiao looked at the white-robed middle-aged man who had stopped him, his expression somewhat cold. Aside from a few female protagonists, not just anyone was worth a second glance from Tian Xiao. Sir, please don't misunderstand, we have no other intentions." Seeing Zai Tianxiao's slightly cold expression, Steward Liu chuckled awkwardly a few times. Then, pointing to the white-robed man next to him, he said, This is the owner of our Wan Yao pharmacy, Mr. Yao. He heard that you had arrived, and he specifically came to greet you, Mr. Yao, seeing Zai Tianxiao's cold demeanor, felt a surge of doubt in his heart, but he dared not show any of it on his face. He respectfully said to Zai Tianxiao, "Greetings, sir. If I have offended you just now, please forgive me." The white-robed, middle-aged man was Mr. Yao. After listening, Zai Tianxiao gave Mr. Yao a deep look and continued, "When I came before, there were quite a few people blocking the entrance of Wan Yao Pharmacy, but now it's empty. I assume you did that, right?" So he was Mr. Yao. Zai Tianxiao remembered that in the original novel, this person coveted the treasure Xiao Yixian had discovered, so he had confined Xiao Yixian in Wan Yao Pharmacy to force her to reveal the treasure's location. However, knowing this, Zai Tianxiao did not directly kill Mr. Yao. After all, he hadn't offended Zai Tianxiao, and he had taken Xiao Yixian in when she was young, so he could be considered to have shown some kindness. If the other party was sensible later, then so be it. Otherwise, he would just kill him. He, it is an honor for our Wan Yao pharmacy that you would grace us with your presence, sir. Those unruly commoners are all vulgar people who only look but don't buy. How could we let them continue to stay here and offend your eyes, sir? Therefore, I took the liberty of asking them to leave." Mr. Yao's face broke into a fawning smile after hearing Zai Tianxiao's question. This was a great due master. If he could gain even a little favor from him, then in Qingshan Town, even the wolf-head mercenary group wouldn't dare to easily provoke his Wan Yao pharmacy. Do you have anything else?" "I am quite busy," Zai Tianxiao said indifferently, clearly not wanting to say too much to the other party. Furthermore, regarding Mr. Yao's explanation, how could Zai Tianxiao not understand that he wanted to gain a little favor from him? It is the way of the world for the weak to curry favor with the strong in exchange for benefits and protection. Therefore, Zai Tianxiao did not express any dislike for Mr. Yao's actions. "Well, I wonder if your conversation with Xiao Yixian was pleasant. I know that little girl. She has a look that keeps people away. If she has been disrespectful to you, sir, I will certainly teach her a good lesson later," Mr. Yao immediately said with a conciliatory smile after hearing Zai Tianxiao's words. "My conversation with her was very good. You don't need to bother anymore." As he spoke, Zai Tianxiao gave Mr. Yao a cold look, the meaning of which was self-evident. "If you dare to cause trouble for Xiao Yixian, then prepare to die, Mr." Yao's heart trembled when he saw Zai Tianxiao's expression, and he immediately dismissed any thoughts of troubling Xiao Yixian. Yes, since that's the case, I'm relieved." Mr. Yao wiped the beads of sweat from his forehead and said, "Since you've just arrived, sir, why not rest at my humble abode for a few days? I can also host a welcome feast for you. Terrifying, is this still a great due master?" Just one look made his heart tremble. No need. As soon as he finished speaking, Zai Tianxiao's figure flickered, and he vanished directly before the two men. When they saw Zai Tianxiao disappear before their eyes, both men were stunned, momentarily forgetting to react. After a long while, both of them let out a long breath. "Alas, I didn't expect this, sir, to be so powerful. Is he really a great due master?" Mr. Yao said with a bewildered expression. Clearly, he was shocked by Zai Tianxiao's sudden disappearance. This should be the case. "When he first arrived at Wan Yao Pharmacy, I saw signs of his Du Kai leaving his body." Steward Liu was also a bit confused, recalling, "Du Kai leaving the body, it's not just great Du Master who can do that. For example, Du Ling powerhouses above that, or even Du Wang. Speaking of this, Mr. Yao swallowed. If the other party was truly what he thought, then that would be truly terrifying. After hearing Mr. Yao's words, Steward Liu also fell silent. Alas, it's incredible that such a powerful person would come looking for Xiao Yixian. After a long while, Steward Liu sighed, turned his head to look inside Wan Yao Pharmacy and said, "All right, tell your subordinates to be careful from now on. Anyone who dares to offend Xiao Yixian is going against our Wan Yao Pharmacy." Mr. Yao thought for a moment, then instructed. He was becoming increasingly fearful of Zai Tianxiao. "Yes, I'll go do it now." Hearing Mr. Yao's words, Steward Liu nodded and agreed. At the same time, he was also a bit puzzled. What was going on with this little girl, Xiao Yixian, to attract such a powerful individual? It was truly strange. Originally, there was another chapter about Xiao Yixian, but seeing that you didn't like it, I deleted it. By the way, I suggest that readers who like this book let it accumulate for a few days. Whether it dies or not isn't important. What's important is that I know my typing speed. Chapter 40, Stone Desert City. Chapter 40. Stone Desert City, Eastern Tagar Desert, Stone Desert City. Being located in the middle of the desert, this city, compared to those within the empire, possessed a bit more simplicity and gravitas. Perhaps due to its proximity to the Snake People tribe, the defenses here were much stricter than in the interior of the empire. Fully armed soldiers could be seen patrolling everywhere in the city. This is Stone Desert City. I wonder if that little girl named King Lin has been taken in by the two Xiao family brothers. Zai Tianxiao looked at the bustling soldiers in Stone Desert City, a strange glint flashing in his eyes as he murmured to himself. After Zai Tianxiao left Qingshan town, he headed in this direction. After asking a pair of mercenaries and confirming the city's direction and location, he arrived at Stone Desert City in the eastern Tagar Desert. Although there's still more than half a year until the plot begins, it shouldn't be too far off, Zai Tianxiao thought to himself. The reason he came to Stone Desert City was to find the little girl named King Lin, who possessed the triple jade-green snake flower pupils. The triple jade-green snake flower pupils, the #1 strange pupils in the world, only appear in the descendants of humans and snake people. These pupils are the bane of all serpent-shaped magical beasts, capable of forcibly controlling all but a very few serpent-shaped magical beasts that possess pure ancient bloodlines. Not only that, but mature triple jade-green snake flower pupils can form their own internal space, allowing the user to store controlled serpent-shaped creatures within the space they've created. Furthermore, the strength of the magical beasts taken into this space will slowly be absorbed by the user. Although the absorption speed is very slow and there are strength limitations, it is still quite terrifying. Moreover, King Lin is also considered a half-heroine, with a gentle and lovely personality. How could Zai Tianxiao not like such a young girl? Therefore, if Zai Tianxiao doesn't take King Lin with him, is he supposed to leave her here to benefit Xiao Yan? Wouldn't that be ridiculous? He's not an idiot. He wouldn't do such a foolish thing. At this time, the mercenary groups of Xiao Ding and Xiao Lai should have been established. I'll go check there. Zai Tianxiao mused to himself. Thinking of this, Zai Tianxiao's soul power extended, instantly covering most of Stone Desert City. Not long after, based on the conversations and exchanges of the people in the city, Zai Tianxiao successfully discovered the location where the two brothers had established their mercenary group. Got it, muttering to himself, Zai Tianxiao's figure flickered. When he reappeared, he was already at the Mo Tai mercenary group's headquarters. Hey, what business do you have at our mercenary group? Zai Tianxiao's sudden appearance startled the guards at the entrance, but they quickly stopped him and asked, Xiao Ding, Xiao Lai, this seat has come to visit. Why do you not come out to greet him? Zai Tianxiao spoke indifferently. Although his voice only originated from the entrance, it clearly reached the ears of everyone in the Mo Tai mercenary group. Although his voice only originated from the entrance, it clearly reached the ears of everyone in the Mo Tai mercenary group. What was that sound? Not sure, it sounds like he's looking for the leader. A bit arrogant. Come on, brothers, let's go see who's causing trouble. Upon hearing these words, the members of the Mo Tai mercenary group immediately stopped what they were doing and rushed outside. They wanted to see who had the audacity to come and provoke them. Who are you? How dare you call out the names of the two leaders directly? The guards at the entrance were stunned, then angrily rebuked him. The other party actually ignored their questions and even called out the names of the two leaders directly. He was truly too arrogant. Get out of this seat's way. Zai Tianxiao didn't even look at them, simply waving his hand. The two felt themselves hit by a huge shockwave, flying backward and crashing heavily to the ground, a mouthful of fresh blood spurting from their mouths. So strong. A portion of the people who rushed over upon hearing the commotion swallowed hard when they saw this scene, looking at Zai Tianxiao with fear. Who are you, sir? Intruding into our Motai mercenary group's headquarters like this is not appropriate, is it? As the voice sounded, a young man in a white robe and another man dressed in mercenary attire appeared before Zai Tianxiao. Big brother, who cares who he is? This person dared to injure our guard brothers, so he must pay the price. The man in mercenary attire pointed at Zai Tianxiao and said indignantly, "Second brother, don't be reckless." The white-robed man frowned slightly. He couldn't discern Zai Tianxiao's strength, and for him to brazenly injure their people, he must have an extraordinary background. You must be Xiao Ding. Zai Tianxiao ignored Xiao Li's shouting and looked at Xiao Ding, speaking indifferently. That's right. May I ask, sir, what brings you to my two brothers? Xiao Ding cupped his hands and asked politely, Have you taken in a little girl named King Lin here? Zai Tianxiao looked at Xiao Ding and said calmly, King Lin. Xiao Ding and Xiao Li exchanged glances upon hearing this, both seeing surprise in each other's eyes. Then, Xiao Ding nodded and said, Yes, there is a girl named King Lin. I just don't know if she's the person you're looking for. Is she a girl with snake scales on her arm? Zai Tianxiao asked, a hint of pleasant surprise on his face. Zai Tianxiao hadn't seen what King Lin specifically looked like, only read some descriptions in the original work. He also didn't want to waste time using his sole power to observe everyone in the city one by one, which is why he came here to ask Xiao Ding. Yes, she was wandering in the city not long ago. I took pity on her and brought her back to the mercenary group. Xiao Ding nodded and said, Very good, this seat is looking for her. Quickly bring her out. Hearing the affirmative answer, Zai Tianxiao was overjoyed and said to Xiao Ding, Sir, what business do you have with King Lin? Could you perhaps tell us a bit? Xiao Ding hesitated for a moment upon hearing this, then said to Zai Tianxiao, Although King Lin was just an orphan he took in, she was still considered part of the mercenary group, so it was best to inquire. You don't need to concern yourself with that. In short, I won't harm her. Zai Tianxiao said indifferently, All right. Although Xiao Ding was somewhat curious why Zai Tianxiao was looking for King Lin, he still instructed a nearby mercenary, Have someone bring out Miss King Lin. Yes, leader, the mercenary responded and then turned and ran into the headquarters. In a short while, the mercenary led a girl dressed in a light green, elegant outfit with a petite and delicate figure and a slightly youthful, lovely oval face, like a beautiful porcelain doll, into everyone's view. King Lin. As soon as Zai Tianxiao saw King Lin, his eyes lit up and he immediately walked towards the girl. King Lin was startled by the person in front of her, but when she saw that he had no ill intent, she relaxed slightly. Sir, are you looking for me? King Lin bit her red lips lightly, looking timidly at Zai Tianxiao, her voice small as she asked. Her timid appearance, like a frightened little rabbit, couldn't help but evoke a sense of pity in people's hearts. You don't need to be nervous. Zai Tianxiao smiled at the girl in front of him and said, The reason this seat has come this time, besides wanting to see you, is to take you away from here, to a place that is suitable for you. Oh, but that. King Lin hesitated, seemingly unwilling to believe Zai Tianxiao's words, but she also feared angering him, so she continued to be conflicted. Chapter 41, Taking King Lin Away. Chapter 41. Taking King Lin away, Zai Tianxiao saw through King Lin's apprehension and gently said, Say whatever you want, I won't mind. Zai Tianxiao knew King Lin didn't trust him, but he wasn't in a hurry, he simply waited for her reply. King Lin is a child of the snake people and brings calamity to others, so how can she follow an adult like you? King Lin lowered her head, her voice as faint as a mosquito's buzz. King Lin didn't know who this man was, the one who commanded respect from both leaders, or why he would seek her out, someone scorned by the world. Moreover, King Lin was grateful to the Mo Tai mercenary group for taking her in, giving her food and saving her from wandering. Thus, she was somewhat hesitant about Zai Tianxiao's offer. What child of the snake people? This venerable one doesn't care about such things. Zai Tianxiao said, reaching out to gently stroke King Lin's soft hair, and continued, As for the talk of bringing calamity, that's just the ignorance of the world, failing to recognize true treasure. Ah, really? Upon hearing Zai Tianxiao's indifferent reply, King Lin was momentarily bewildered. But then, feeling Zai Tianxiao's touch, her heart jolted and her body trembled slightly. Afterward, King Lin secretly glanced at Zai Tianxiao. Seeing that he made no further movements, she finally relaxed. I would naturally not deceive you. With that, Zai Tianxiao seemed to realize something and said, if you don't like it, I won't touch you again. For a girl of 11 or 12, Zai Tianxiao had no such peculiar preferences. It's fine. King Lin bit her red lip lightly, speaking with a touch of shyness. Although Zai Tianxiao's action was unintentional, it still had a considerable impact on a pure and innocent girl like her. He. Looking at King Lin's timid expression, Zai Tianxiao couldn't help but smile. His gaze fell upon her wrist, where a hint of snake scales peeked out from beneath her sleeve, and he said, this must be those snake scales. Ah, I'm sorry. Please don't look, adult. It will bring a curse. King Lin quickly pulled back her hand and hid it, looking down and explaining in a flustered manner. She was the offspring of a snake person and a human woman, and these snake scales were a symbol of that, as well as one of the reasons she was scorned and mocked by others. What curse? Don't be afraid. These snake scales are not only beautiful, but also a unique mark belonging to you, King Lin. Seeing King Lin's flustered and timid appearance, afraid of others seeing the snake scales on her wrist, Zai Tianxiao couldn't help but comfort her. Beautiful. Hearing Zai Tianxiao praise her snake scales, King Lin's flustered expression froze for a moment. She looked up cautiously and said, but, adult, don't you find it scary? This was the first person since her birth who had ever said her scales were beautiful. Scary. This venerable one has seen things far more terrifying than this. Zai Tianxiao glanced at King Lin's snake scales, shaking his head slightly as he spoke. He understood why King Lin cared so much. After all, she had been treated as a monster since childhood because of these scales, and even she herself had come to believe that these snake scales were an ominous curse. But. Subscribe for more amazing novel audiobooks. Don't forget to like, comment, and share Infinite Novel Audio. Hearing Zai Tianxiao's assessment, a hint of sweetness rose in King Lin's heart, but at the same time, there was a touch of uncertainty, and she spoke hesitantly. All right, no more buts. I'm getting tired of hearing them. Zai Tianxiao couldn't help but sigh softly, interrupting King Lin's words. Oh, seeing Zai Tianxiao's expression, as if he was impatient, King Lin dared not say more. She simply hid her snake scales in her sleeve and lowered her head in silence. That's right. Looking at King Lin's obedient and well-behaved appearance, Zai Tianxiao nodded. He then looked at Xiao Ding, who was off to the side, and said, Xiao Ding, this venerable one is taking King Lin. Do you have anything to say? Seeing Zai Tianxiao ask him a question, Xiao Ding was startled for a moment. He then glanced at King Lin, shook his head, and said, if King Lin is willing, then I naturally have no objections. Xiao Ding was a clever and steady man. He knew that Zai Tianxiao had come specifically for King Lin from the start. Although the other party was asking for his opinion, it was merely a formality. Whether he agreed or not, the decision was not in his hands. Therefore, Xiao Ding let King Lin decide. If King Lin was willing to go with Zai Tianxiao, then he would do her a favor. If she wasn't, then he couldn't be blamed. King Lin, are you willing to come with me? Zai Tianxiao looked at King Lin, who had her head bowed, and asked. King Lin didn't expect Zai Tianxiao to ask her this question again. She hesitated for a moment, unsure of what to do. Don't be afraid, speak your mind boldly. This venerable one won't get angry, Zai Tianxiao comforted her. While he said this, if King Lin was still unwilling, Zai Tianxiao would have no choice but to take her by force. It was still the same question. If he didn't take her, was he supposed to leave her for Xiao Yan? King Lin heard this and finally looked up. After glancing at Xiao Ding and then at Zai Tianxiao, she softly asked, will the adult hit or scold King Lin? King Lin didn't know what her situation would become after leaving the mercenary group. So she was very worried, afraid that after leaving, Zai Tianxiao might hit or scold her if he was displeased or even kill her. Hit or scold, this time it was Zai Tianxiao's turn to be stunned. He then smiled and said, King Lin is so sensible. Not only will this venerable one not hit or scold you, but I will make all those who offend you disappear." After speaking, Zai Tianxiao intentionally or unintentionally glanced around. Feeling Zai Tianxiao's gaze, everyone couldn't help but shiver. Who is this guy? He's so terrifying. Yeah, I feel like he could kill me with just a look. That girl King Lin is lucky. She's actually valued by such a powerful expert. Everyone began to whisper in low voices. Although the sound was faint, King Lin could still vaguely hear it. This made her small face blush again, and she lowered her head, not daring to look directly at Zai Tianxiao. But then, she remembered Zai Tianxiao's previous words of praise and encouragement. She looked up again, gathering her courage, and said, "King Lin is willing to follow the adult, only asking to be a maid to serve the adult." "Oh, you're willing to be a maid." Hearing King Lin's words, Zai Tianxiao raised an eyebrow in surprise. Isn't that allowed?" Hearing Zai Tianxiao's words, King Lin lowered her head, asking somewhat unconfidently, "King Lin, with your cultivation talent, you will become a renowned expert on the continent in the future. There's no need to humble yourself to be a mere maid, and this venerable one doesn't lack people to serve him." Hearing King Lin's answer, Zai Tianxiao frowned slightly, but ultimately still tried to persuade her. "Ah, adult, do you not want King Lin anymore?" Upon hearing Zai Tianxiao's words, King Lin immediately became anxious, and a panicked expression appeared on her pretty face. Chapter 42, The Maid, How Could I Not Want You? It's just, King Lin's words made Zai Tianxiao sigh lightly. He reached out again and stroked King Lin's hair, saying softly, "Forget it. Since it's like this, you will simply be my maid." King Lin is also willing to be master's maid. Hearing Zai Tianxiao's words, King Lin breathed a sigh of relief, quickly nodded happily, and then looked up at Zai Tianxiao with a sweet smile. Seeing King Lin's smiling face, Zai Tianxiao shook his head inwardly. King Lin is indeed a good girl, pure and kind, but alas, she is too kind, which is why she gets bullied. Zai Tianxiao sighed in his heart and then said, "Since you are my maid, no one will dare to look down on you. And you don't need to serve me now. You are still young, you should go where you belong." Hearing this, King Lin just bit her lip, gathered her courage, and said, "But, King Lin wants to stay by master's side." "Stay by my side, huh?" Zai Tianxiao smiled lightly, his eyes fixed on King Lin's, and he suddenly asked, "King Lin, do you want to possess the strength that makes others respect you, and to be able to help this seat in the future?" King Lin doesn't want others to be afraid, but if Master needs it, King Lin is willing to become a powerful being to protect Master. King Lin looked up and replied firmly, Good." Hearing King Lin's answer, a satisfied look flashed across Zai Tianxiao's face. He then placed his hand on King Lin's head and said, "In that case, don't think about anything else. Just follow my arrangements, understood?" King Lin understands. King Lin lowered her head and said softly. Seeing King Lin agree, Zai Tianxiao's gaze fell upon Xiao Ding, and he then said indifferently, "Xiao Ding, since King Lin has already agreed to this seat, do you still have any problems?" Upon hearing this, Xiao Ding quickly cupped his hands and bowed, respectfully saying, "Since your excellency values King Lin so much and has even taken her as a maid, then this Xiao naturally has nothing to doubt. King Lin is a good child. It is her good fortune to be able to follow a strong individual like your excellency." Although Xiao Ding found it a bit strange why someone like Zai Tianxiao would suddenly come looking for King Lin, and even gave off a feeling of absolute necessity. But strange is strange, he didn't ask much. After all, he didn't want to offend Zai Tianxiao, a person whose strength and identity were both a mystery. Moreover, he was also happy that King Lin could have a good place to go. Ultimately, he was just a small Du master, while the person before him was at least a strong individual at the Du King realm. "Big brother, why do you trust him so easily? Who knows if he's truly good to King Lin or just putting on an act?" At this moment, Xiao Lai whispered to Xiao Ding. He didn't really believe what Zai Tianxiao said, thinking that the other party was merely using King Lin to achieve his goals. "Second brother, have you forgotten what I said before? Shut up quickly." Hearing Xiao Lai's words, Xiao Ding glared at him and snarled. All right, I won't say anything then." Seeing Xiao Ding get angry, Xiao Lai quickly shut his mouth and lowered his head. Seeing this, Xiao Ding no longer paid attention to Xiao Lai and turned to Zai Tianxiao, saying, "My apologies, my second brother speaks rashly. Please do not take offense, Your Excellency. If I were to take offense, your Mo Tai mercenary group would have long since vanished from Stone Desert City." Zai Tianxiao swept his gaze indifferently over the people around him and spoke slowly, his voice calm and unmoving. At this point, everyone's hearts trembled again, all feeling an increased pressure around them as if they were about to be crushed at any moment. At this time, Xiao Lai also swallowed hard, feeling a sense of dread. Although he was quite reckless, it didn't mean he was stupid. He had previously been annoyed with Zai Tianxiao, thinking the other party was at most a great do-master, but now it seemed he was far more than that. Yes, thank you, your senior, for your magnanimity. Feeling the faint pressure around him, Xiao Ding's expression changed slightly, and he quickly offered a conciliatory smile. That was close. This man named Zai Tianxiao, his strength is indeed unfathomable. Fortunately, he had the foresight not to offend the other party earlier otherwise. His Mo Tai mercenary group might really disappear from Stone Desert City. Thinking this, Xiao Ding looked at King Lin and continued. King Lin, after leaving the mercenary group, remember to follow this senior well and never cause any unnecessary trouble. I understand, group leader. Thank you for taking me in. Hearing Xiao Ding's reminder to her, King Lin nodded and said gratefully, "It's nothing, you're welcome." Hearing King Lin's words, Xiao Ding just smiled and didn't say much. After seeing everyone settled, Zai Tianxiao looked at Xiao Ding and asked, "Xiao Ding, are there any special places in your area? For example, a certain place where the temperature fluctuates greatly, different from other places." Special places, temperature. Hearing Zai Tianxiao's words, Xiao Ding was stunned for a moment, then reacted and looked at Zai Tianxiao with some surprise, asking, "Senior, is there something you need?" "This seat needs a heavenly flame, and according to the information I've received, this heavenly flame is hidden in the desert nearby." Zai Tianxiao nodded and explained, "Heavenly flame, in the desert." Hearing Zai Tianxiao's words, Xiao Ding and the others all felt a stir in their hearts. A heavenly flame, a legendary item that alchemists dream of, would actually appear in the desert surrounding their Stone Desert City. This was simply too astonishing. After a long while, Xiao Ding tentatively asked, "Does senior mean that you need our help to find the heavenly flame hidden in this desert?" "Precisely. Your mercenaries frequently operate in this surrounding desert, so you must know which places have different temperature variations. I need you to help me find these special places and inform me, and I will give you enough gold coins as a reward." Zai Tianxiao swept his gaze over Xiao Ding and the others, saying indifferently, "He came to Stone Desert City, not only to take King Lin, but also for another reason, the Green Lotus Core Flame." Zai Tianxiao had read the original novel and knew that this heavenly flame was in this vast desert, but he didn't know the exact location. He had considered using his soul power to search, but with his spirit realm soul power, he couldn't possibly sustain a search of this entire desert. Therefore, he might as well let these mercenaries help him find it. Besides, in the original novel, it was these very people who found the Green Lotus Core Flame. "Haha, Senior, what are you saying? It is our honor to be able to help Senior. There's no need for any reward." Hearing Zai Tianxiao's words, Xiao Ding shook his head and refused with a smile. Compared to money, he valued Zai Tianxiao's attitude towards them more. If he could leave a good impression on the other party, that would be the best outcome. Chapter 43, Sand Mercenaries. Chapter 43, Sand Mercenary Group. No, that's not right. Although my strength is much greater than yours, I'm still asking you to help me find a heavenly flame, so giving compensation is only proper. Zai Tianxiao shook his head slightly, then looked at the group of mercenaries beside Xiao Ding and said, "Besides, you may not care about this money, but some of your subordinates certainly need it." What kind of thoughts Xiao Ding harbored? How could Zai Tianxiao not know? It was just that Zai Tianxiao didn't lack gold coins at the moment. Although he was powerful, even if he didn't give them anything, these people wouldn't have any complaints. But he was still a person. So how could he do something like making workers work for an boss without the boss paying them? Meanwhile, the mercenaries were all surprised when they heard Zai Tianxiao's words. They hadn't expected such a prominent figure to care about them, mere low-level mercenaries. For a moment, they all echoed, "Yes, yes, yes, it's truly a great kindness for an adult to consider us poor mercenaries." What a good person. Adult, please rest assured, even if we have to dig 3 feet into the ground, we will definitely fulfill your request. That's right, we will never let an adult down. Hearing their words, Xiao Ding chuckled awkwardly and said, "Haha. It seems I was mistaken. Senior is truly a man of high integrity." He hadn't expected that, after Zai Tianxiao refused his good intentions, he would still consider his brothers. This simply didn't conform to the usual behavior expected of a strong individual. Brothers, cheer up. Since Senior thinks so highly of us, let's strive to find the heavenly flame for him as soon as possible. Xiao Ding shouted at his subordinates. "Ha ha ha, Commander, you don't need to say it, we all understand. We will definitely find the heavenly flame as quickly as possible." The mercenaries shouted loudly, their eyes filled with passion and drive. "Very good, go ahead." Zai Tianxiao nodded in satisfaction and waved his hand at Xiao Ding. "Yes, Senior." Xiao Ding cupped his fist and bowed, then gestured for the mercenaries to scatter in all directions. Watching Xiao Ding and the others leave, Zai Tianxiao turned and instructed King Lin, who was beside him. "King Lin, stay with me for these next few days. Once I've resolved matters here, I'll take you to a suitable place." I'll listen to an adult," King Lin obediently replied. He. "Let's go." Seeing this, Zai Tianxiao smiled softly, gently stroked King Lin's small head with his hand, and then led her away from the mercenary encampment. He still needed to find a better place to stay to await the coming days. Time flew by, and 3 months passed in the blink of an eye. On this day, in Stone Desert City, at a luxurious inn, "Adult, we've discovered some anomalies in the eastern part of Stone Desert City." A mercenary reported to Zai Tianxiao. "Oh, have you found it?" Zai Tianxiao raised an eyebrow upon hearing this and asked. "Not certain, but the temperature there is considerably higher than in other places." The commander couldn't make a decision, so he sent his subordinate to ask for an adult's instructions. The mercenary respectfully replied, "Not certain." After hearing the mercenary's words, a contemplative look flashed across Zai Tianxiao's face. If he wasn't mistaken, that place was almost certainly the location of the Green Lotus core flame. "Yes, besides asking me to deliver the message, the commander also hopes you can take action to deter those who are causing trouble," the mercenary suddenly added. "Troublemakers, tell me about it," Zai Tianxiao asked. Hearing this, the mercenary continued to report. "During these days of searching, the Sand Mercenary Group has come to cause trouble several times. They only reined in their behavior after the commander mentioned that it was an adult's will. But the situation didn't last long, and they became arrogant again. Today, they even specifically came to stir up trouble, and they've probably already confronted the 2 commanders." The Sand Mercenary Group was another mercenary group in Stone Desert City, besides the Mo Tai Mercenary Group, and it was also the strongest mercenary group, Sand Mercenary Group. Hearing the mercenaries' report, Zai Tianxiao's lips curved into a smile. He remembered that in the original story, the Sand Mercenary Group also thought Xiao Ding and his group were looking for some high-level cultivation technique or do skill, and they wanted to scheme against them. However, Xiao Yan found out and deterred them by erupting with the strength of a Du King. Until later, after Xiao Yan subdued the heavenly flame and returned, he killed them. Since that's the case, go back and tell Xiao Ding that this seat will be there shortly." Zai Tianxiao said indifferently after a moment's thought. Yes, the mercenary accepted the order and quickly left. On the other side, eastern Stone Desert City, vast desert, yellow sand raging. Xiao Ding and Xiao Lai, the 2 brothers, were confronting a middle-aged man whose body was covered in yellow dew kai and whose face was filled with a ruthless aura. Lightning arc triple dance. Xiao Lai suddenly let out a low roar, and heavy electric arcs strangely leaped from the long spear in his hand, then fiercely stabbed towards the middle-aged man. "Ha ha, is the famous Mo Tai Mercenary Group's second commander only this strong? What a waste of this lightning attribute Du Kai. which is known as the most powerful in attack. Facing the rapidly approaching electric arcs, the middle-aged man laughed disdainfully. He clenched his large fist, and yellow dew kai rapidly condensed on it. In an instant, it solidified into an energy-based gauntlet. He tightly clenched his fist and fiercely punched out. A strong gust of wind, mixed with fierce energy, directly collided with the electric arcs. When the two collided, the middle-aged man's fist almost effortlessly destroyed the 3 electric arcs. After destroying them, its momentum remained undiminished, and it heavily smashed into Xiao Lai's chest. PFFT. A mouthful of fresh blood gushed out, and Xiao Lai's body flew backward. Xiao Ding, seeing this, quickly moved to support Xiao Lai and asked with concern, "Second brother, are you all right?" "Big brother, I'm fine." Xiao Lai wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and insisted through gritted teeth. "Luo Bu, aren't you afraid of offending the adult who entrusted us with this mission by acting this way?" Xiao Ding glared at Luo Bu in front of him and said coldly. "Haha, offend." Luo Bu burst into laughter, mocking, "Xiao Ding, you're just a master from a small mercenary group. What important figure would entrust a mission to you? Besides, I've been observing you for months, and I've never seen any important figure appear." "Exactly. I think you've discovered some high-level cultivation technique left behind by a predecessor, and are trying to deceive us with this excuse." Not far from Luo Bu, a man with a somewhat sinister face, named Mo Xing, also echoed. Mo Xing was the second-in-command of the entire Sand mercenary group, and also the strongest person besides Luo Bu. "Damn it, Mo Xing, you're looking for death," Xiao Ding immediately said angrily upon hearing this. He hadn't expected Luo Bu to not believe his words, and even mock him for being just a small master, unworthy of being valued by an important figure. How could he tolerate this? "Commander, commander." At this moment, a mercenary ran out from the crowd and anxiously shouted at Xiao Ding. Chapter 44, Destruction. Chapter 44, Annihilation. "How was it? Did you speak with the senior?" Xiao Ding asked, looking at the flustered mercenary. "Yes, leader. The adult said he'd be right over," the mercenary replied. "Ha ha ha, good." Xiao Ding waved his hand, signaling the mercenary to leave. Then he turned to Luo Bu and sneered, "Luo Bu, since you don't believe what I say, then prepare to face the senior's wrath later." "HMPH, what kind of senior?" "I advise you to hand over all the treasures you've found these past few days, or else not a single person from your mercenary group will be left alive." Luo Bu snorted coldly, looking completely unafraid of Xiao Ding's threat. "You are very arrogant." At some point, a man in black appeared behind Luo Bu, patting his shoulder and saying indifferently, "I'd like to see what abilities you possess, to dare not put me in your eyes." Behind the man was a small, delicate girl dressed in elegant light green attire, clutching a corner of his black clothes with a small hand, looking nervously at her surroundings. "Greetings, senior." Xiao Ding and Xiao Lai quickly bowed respectfully upon seeing Zai Tianxiao. Immediately after, Xiao Ding looked at the small girl behind Zai Tianxiao and greeted, "Miss King Lin, you've come as well." "Hello, both leaders." King Lin politely greeted Xiao Ding and Xiao Lai, then gently peeked her small head out, looking towards Luo Bu in front. Meanwhile, Luo Bu's heart was greatly alarmed when he felt the sudden pressure on his shoulder. Cold sweat broke out on his face, and his body couldn't help but tremble. You, strong, too strong. With his strength as a 2-star Great Dew Master, he couldn't even detect when the other party had appeared behind him. Luo Bu was certain that the other party's strength was definitely not a Du Ling. At the very least, he had reached the Du King level. "Was it you who just now looked down upon me?" Zai Tianxiao nodded slightly towards Xiao Ding and Xiao Lai, then glanced at Luo Bu and asked, No, sir, you've misunderstood. That's not what I meant," Luo Bu quickly explained. "Damn it, this accursed Mo Xing, saying there was no one behind Xiao Ding. Now I'm finished. Not what you meant. Then what did you mean?" Zai Tianxiao asked with a half-smile. I was misled by Mo Xing's slander." Sweat beaded on Luo Bu's forehead as he hurriedly pointed at Mo Xing on the side. It was all this scoundrel, saying that Xiao Ding and his group must have discovered high-level cultivation techniques and do skills, and wanted to use that as an excuse to trick me so they could keep it all to themselves. That's why I brought people here. Otherwise, even if I had 10 times the courage, I wouldn't dare to obstruct you, sir. Hearing Liu Bu point the finger at him, Mo Xing was startled. He immediately knelt down, trembling as he said, please spare me, sir, please spare me, this humble one will never dare again. Zai Tianxiao ignored Mo Xing's plea and instead asked Liu Bu, do you think, regarding the offense of an ant, should I kill it or not kill it? Zai Tianxiao's tone was calm, but the authority within it was terrifying. No, I wouldn't dare. Hearing Zai Tianxiao's words, Liu Bu's face turned ashen. He felt that he was going to be completely finished here today. Originally, if you had just stayed hidden for a few more days, after a while, I wouldn't bother with the trouble of you ants. At this point, Zai Tianxiao's eyes sharpened, and killing intent suddenly appeared as he said, unfortunately, you chose to seek death now, so I will have no choice but to grant your wish. As he finished speaking, Zai Tianxiao pointed a finger at Liu Bu. Instantly, Liu Bu felt a powerful pressure surging through his body, making him unable to resist. No, I don't want to die, I don't want to die. Liu Bu's face was distorted, his eyes bloodshot as he screamed desperately. Crack, crack. Under Liu Bu's screams, his entire body was forcibly squeezed and deformed, his bones making a crisp sound, eventually turning into a puddle of rotten flesh. Gulp, gulp. Looking at Liu Bu, who had died by Zai Tianxiao's hand, Xiao Ding and Xiao Lai couldn't help but shiver. To instantly kill a great Du Master with one move, such strength was shocking. Escape, we must escape quickly. Seeing Liu Bu, who was dead beyond dead, Mo Xing knew that Zai Tianxiao would not let him go, so he scrambled and crawled, fleeing into the distance. Leader, he's dead. This is a devil, run. The remaining members of the Sand Mercenary group also quickly took off running, fearing that if they were a step too slow, they would be annihilated by the devil-like man before them. In an instant, the scene was chaotic. How unsightly. Looking at Liu Bu, who had turned into rotten flesh on the ground, Zai Tianxiao shook his head, then looked up at the fleeing crowd and lightly waved his hand. Immediately, streams of black and white flames appeared out of thin air, engulfing Liu Bu on the ground and the fleeing members of the Sand Mercenary group. In the blink of an eye, they all turned to ashes. What terrifying methods. Standing to the side, witnessing Zai Tianxiao turn so many mercenary group members into ashes, Xiao Ding and Xiao Lai's eyes were filled with horror. Zai Tianxiao's power surpassed their imagination. Looking at the crowd that had turned to ashes on the ground, Zai Tianxiao turned to the Xiao Ding brothers and said calmly, the troublemakers have been dealt with. You may take the money and do skills from the Sand Mercenary Group's stronghold. Consider it my reward. Thank you, Senior. You are too kind, Senior. Hearing Zai Tianxiao's words, Xiao Ding and Xiao Lai were extremely excited. Zai Tianxiao nodded and said, there's nothing left for you here. You may leave. Our transaction ends here. Understood, we take our leave. Seeing Zai Tianxiao advise them to leave, Xiao Ding and Xiao Lai exchanged glances and respectfully responded. They certainly didn't want to defy Zai Tianxiao's words, unless they no longer wished to live. Afterward, Xiao Lai shouted to the few remaining members of the Mo Tai mercenary group below. Brothers, let's go to the stronghold and split the money. Yes, leader. The members of the Mo Tai mercenary group also quickly responded, then followed the two brothers towards the Sand Mercenary Group's stronghold. Seeing everyone leave, Zai Tianxiao turned back to King Lin and said gently, are you all right? Were you scared just now? Hearing Zai Tianxiao's words of concern, King Lin was deeply moved. She shook her head. No, King Lin knows they were all bad people, and being killed by Lord Tian Xiao was their own fault. King Lin understood that Zai Tianxiao was afraid she would be scared by witnessing him kill just now, and thus fear him, so he specifically came to comfort her. Therefore, although King Lin was a little scared, she didn't actually say it. Instead, she was very happy and touched. He. What bad people, good people. To be honest, I'm not exactly a good person myself, Zai Tianxiao said with a smile. But King Lin feels that Lord Tian Xiao is a good person, a very, very good person. King Lin said, tilting her head. Upon hearing this, Zai Tianxiao was slightly taken aback, then gently stroked King Lin's small head and said, "What a silly girl." Chapter 45, Subduing the Fire Snake. King Lin, you mustn't trust others so easily in the future. I'm truly afraid you'll be deceived by those cunning, deceitful, smooth-talking fellows, Zai Tianxiao said with a worried expression. MHM, King Lin won't. King Lin only listens to Tian Zio now, King Lin replied obediently. After these past few months together, King Lin was no longer unfamiliar or afraid of Zai Tianxiao. Her address had also changed from Simplicier to Tian Zio. Moreover, King Lin understood that Zai Tianxiao genuinely cared for her. He not only told her about the cultivation situation on the continent, but also helped her, a common person without Du Kai, advance to the one-star Du practitioner stage. Even in daily life, he never treated her as a servant to be ordered around. Therefore, King Lin's dependence and affection for Zai Tianxiao grew in her heart. Is that so? Subscribe for more amazing novel audiobooks. Don't forget to like, comment, and share infinite novel audio. Looking at her bright, clear eyes, Zai Tianxiao awkwardly rubbed his forehead. Although he genuinely liked this little girl King Lin and didn't want to give her to Zio Yan, the fact that she trusted him so much after only a few months of acquaintance left Zai Tianxiao speechless. Seeing Zai Tianxiao's expression, King Lin looked a bit puzzled, but as if she thought of something, she whispered, Tian Zio, King Lin thinks, we should go find the heavenly flame now. You're right, but we don't need to look for the heavenly flame, it's right below us. Zai Tianxiao said, pointing underground, having snapped out of his thoughts after King Lin's reminder. When he first arrived here, he had already sensed the powerful heavenly flame aura emanating from the green lotus core flame deep underground. But Tian Zio, clan leader Zio and the others have left. There's no one to help us excavate here. How should we go down to find the heavenly flame? King Lin asked. He. Have you forgotten how we got here? Zai Tianxiao smiled slightly and said, how they got here. King Lin pondered upon hearing this. She remembered that when they arrived, Zai Tianxiao was holding her hand, her vision went black, then bright, and they appeared here. As for the reason, she wasn't clear. The reason we could instantly arrive here is because I used the power of space. Zai Tianxiao said with a smile, power of space. King Lin looked a little bewildered. She had clearly never heard this term before. That's right. This is a method that can only be mastered when one's cultivation reaches the Du Zun level. When your cultivation becomes strong in the future, you'll also be able to use it, Zai Tianxiao replied. Oh, King Lin nodded upon hearing Zai Tianxiao's words. Seeing King Lin still looking bewildered, Zai Tianxiao didn't explain further. He simply took her small hand. King Lin was a little shy but didn't struggle. Then, their bodies slowly distorted and disappeared into the desert. When they reappeared, they were already in a massive underground cavern filled with fiery red lava and intense heat. So terrifying, the lava. Seeing the scene before her, King Lin unconsciously gripped Zai Tianxiao's sleeve with her small hand, saying nervously, feeling the little girl's action. Zai Tianxiao smiled and rubbed her small head, saying, don't be afraid. Because there's a heavenly flame hidden below, that's why the cavern looks like this now. Moreover, there's a little fellow under this lava. You should be able to sense it, Zai Tianxiao said, pointing at the scorching lava. Little fellow. Hearing Zai Tianxiao's words, King Lin looked at him with some confusion. Then her azure three-flower pupils gazed into the boundless expanse of fiery red lava. Soon, King Lin suddenly exclaimed as if she had discovered something. Tian Zio, King Lin feels like there's some creature in that lava. Although it's just a faint, obscure aura, I still sensed it. It's very strong. King Lin's gaze was fixed intently on a certain spot in the constantly churning lava. Points of faint light flickered in her azure three-flower pupils, as if piercing through the obstruction of the lava to see the mysterious thing hidden beneath. You didn't feel wrong. That's a rank 4 magical beast, called the two-headed fire spirit snake. Zai Tianxiao said with a faint smile. Rank 4 magical beast. Upon hearing this, a hint of surprise appeared in King Lin's beautiful eyes, and she asked, then, Tianzio, are you going to kill this magical beast? No, do you remember when I mentioned to you a few days ago that you possess the Azure Three-Flower Pupils? Zai Tianxiao said, looking at King Lin. Azure Three-Flower Pupils. I remember, but it's rank 4. Can I do it? Will it cause trouble for Tian Xiao? King Lin asked timidly. During his time with King Lin recently, Zai Tianxiao had briefly mentioned her Azure Three-Flower Pupils and her ability to control snake-shaped magical beasts. Therefore, she understood that Zai Tianxiao meant for her to control this magical beast. Hearing King Lin's words, Zai Tianxiao smiled slightly and said, "Of course not. Although King Lin's strength has only just reached Du Practitioner, controlling this tiny rank 4 fire spirit snake is no problem." After speaking, Zai Tianxiao made a grabbing motion in the air, and a snake-shaped magical beast with 2 heads flew out of the lava and landed before them, its entire body unable to move. Hiss tilde. After the 2-headed fire spirit snake let out a mournful shriek, its entire body became immobile, and it could only stare unblinkingly at Zai Tianxiao and King Lin with its 4 snake eyes. After glancing at the 2-headed fire spirit snake, Zai Tianxiao said to King Lin, "King Lin, this fellow can't move anymore. Give it a try." The reason he had restrained this 2-headed fire spirit snake was to prevent it from moving erratically, thereby affecting King Lin's performance. "Okay, Tian Xiao, King Lin understands." King Lin responded obediently. Then she met the fire spirit snake's gaze with her own eyes and began to sense the connection between herself and the fire spirit snake. After a long while, seeing King Lin motionless, just as Zai Tianxiao was about to inquire, King Lin's pupils emitted a faint glow. Then, the 3 tiny green dots within her pupils instantly transformed into 3 extremely small green flowers. As these eerie green flowers appeared, a wave of faint light, even more intense than before, suddenly shot out, enveloping the fire spirit snake before them. As it was illuminated by this somewhat eerie faint light, the fire spirit snake's massive eyes, which were locked with King Lin's, suddenly showed a mix of fear, shock, and bewilderment, as if it had fallen into a peculiar state. The faint light continued to move slowly over the fire spirit snake's body, finally stopping at the center of the foreheads of its 2 heads. When the faint light stopped moving, it began to slowly shrink. As the scope of the faint light became smaller and smaller, it eventually became only about the size of a palm. And when the faint light shrunk to this area, 2 small green flowers slowly formed on top of the fire spirit snake's 2 heads. Once the flowers appeared, the faint light gradually began to disappear. Moments later, the faint light vanished, and the tiny flowers in King Lin's pupils also quickly receded, returning to their previous azure green. Subsequently, King Lin's body swayed, and her eyelids gradually drooped, looking as if she was about to faint. Chapter 46. Absorbing the Azure Lotus Earth Core Fire. Chapter 46. Absorbing the green lotus core flame. King Lin. Seeing this, Zai Tianxiao seemed prepared. He flashed over, quickly picked up King Lin, fed her a pill, and asked, "Are you all right? How do you feel?" Because Zai Tianxiao had read the original novel, he knew that King Lin would faint when controlling the fire spirit snake, so he had prepared early. "I'm fine. I just need to rest a bit." After taking the pill, King Lin's complexion gradually returned to normal. She softly said, "It's just that I suddenly felt very weak and wanted to sleep earlier, but I'm much better now." "That's good." Hearing that King Lin was fine, Zai Tianxiao put her down from his embrace and said with relief, "King Lin, you did very well just now. This guy is already your pet." "Really? That's great." A hint of excitement appeared in King Lin's eyes upon hearing Zai Tianxiao's praise. She felt that she could help Zai Tianxiao in the future and would no longer be useless. Just thinking about it made King Lin feel exceptionally happy, of course. Seeing King Lin's joyful expression, Zai Tianxiao couldn't help but laugh. "Now you can tell it to do whatever you want, without any reservations." Hearing this, King Lin's gaze shifted to the fire spirit snake, and she noticed that its originally fierce and ferocious eyes had disappeared. In their place was a feeling of docility. "Come here, little snake." Looking at the fire spirit snake's docile appearance, King Lin softly called out, "Roar." The fire spirit snake seemed to understand King Lin's call and let out a low growl. Then, after Zai Tianxiao's restraint on it disappeared, it slowly swam in front of King Lin, lowered its two heads, and rubbed against King Lin in a very fawning manner. So well-behaved. Seeing the fire spirit snake's obedient behavior, a smile couldn't help but appear on King Lin's small face, and she reached out to stroke the fire spirit snake. King Lin, you rest here first and get acquainted with this fire spirit snake. I'll go down and absorb the heavenly flame, then come back up and take you back together. Zai Tianxiao looked at the fire spirit snake and said to King Lin, Okay, Lord Tianzio. King Lin nodded, then added, Lord Tianzio, please be very careful. King Lin will wait for you here. She had heard the two leaders of the Mo Tai mercenary group talk about heavenly flames before and knew how difficult it was to absorb them. A slight mistake could lead to the risk of falling. Don't worry. Hearing King Lin's words of concern, a faint smile appeared on Zai Tianxiao's lips. Then his figure slowly twisted and disappeared from the spot, bottom of the magma. The surrounding fiery red magma had disappeared, replaced by a space filled with a greenish hue. Is this the center where the heavenly flame is nurtured? The temperature is indeed terrifying. If anyone below the Du Wang stage fell in here, they would definitely be incinerated instantly. Feeling this area filled with scorching heat, Zai Tianxiao secretly marveled in his heart. This is. Just then, Zai Tianxiao's gaze suddenly fixated on something not far away that was emitting a brilliant green light. He saw that within the green light, a green lotus stood gracefully. The green lotus had 8 leaves, and these 8 green leaves were as perfect as if they were naturally formed from the most flawless green jade. On the outside of the lotus was a small lotus platform, about 2 or 3 feet in size. In some holes on the lotus platform, the purest fire attribute energy lotus seeds were condensed. And deep within the lotus, there was a cluster of green flames, greedily absorbing the violent fire attribute energy from the surrounding magma at an almost insatiable rate. This is the green lotus core flame, ranked 19th on the heavenly flame ranking. Upon clearly seeing the flames inside the lotus, Zai Tianxiao was immediately delighted. He had finally seen this most classic flame from the original novel. The green lotus core flame is born deep within the earth, having undergone countless refinements, fusions, compressions, and sculptures by the earth's fire. It takes 10 years to form a spirit, 100 years to take shape, 1,000 years to form a lotus. When fully mature, its color is greenish, and a cluster of green fire is born in its lotus heart, named green lotus fire, also known as green lotus core flame. The power of this flame is unpredictable. In areas near volcanoes, it can even trigger volcanic eruptions, forming a destructive force of nature. This is good. The heavenly flame is mine. What flame emperor? Go to hell. Zai Tianxiao thought to himself as he walked towards the green lotus core flame. As Zai Tianxiao got closer and closer to the green lotus core flame, the green lotus core flame seemed to sense the dangerous aura and began to erupt with fierce power. Streaks of green flames flew out from its green petals, attacking Zai Tianxiao's body. Want to resist. Seeing these green flame attacks, Zai Tianxiao did not dodge. He waved his hand at the oncoming green flames, and instantly all of them disappeared. Immediately after, Zai Tianxiao clenched his palm towards the green lotus core flame, and a massive black and white energy hand condensed, directly grabbing the entire green lotus core flame. The green lotus core flame, firmly held by the energy hand, struggled fiercely. Streaks of green flames continuously emerged from it, attempting to break through the energy hand and escape. Unfortunately, Zai Tianxiao's cultivation had reached the half-saint stage, and he also possessed the yin-yang twin flames. No matter how much it struggled, it could not break free from the energy hand's restraint. I am not Zio Yan. Does a mere heavenly flame ranked 19th think it can contend with me? Zai Tianxiao chuckled, raised his right hand, and the entire green lotus core flame, held by the black and white energy hand, was lifted before him. After absorbing you, my strength should reach the advanced half-saint stage. Looking at the heavenly flame before him, Zai Tianxiao murmured to himself. System, devour it. Saying this, Zai Tianxiao touched the green lotus core flame with his hand, Ding, heaven and earth spiritual object detected. System beginning to devour. Ding. Host's devoured object detected as a unique spiritual flame of the continent. Estimated success time, 49 days, progress, 1%. Accompanied by an electronic synthesized voice, a huge suction force suddenly shot out from Zai Tianxiao's body, slowly beginning to devour the green lotus core flame. Hearing the system's words in his mind, Zai Tianxiao raised an eyebrow and said, "System, what do you mean by 49 days? Do I have to stay here for over a month?" Ding, host's guess is correct. During the process of absorbing the heavenly flame, you will indeed have to stay here for 49 days. Damn it, hearing the system's reply, Zai Tianxiao couldn't help but curse, then asked, "But why wasn't it like this when I devoured the Hall of Souls before? And the yin-yang twin flames too, it succeeded in an instant. Why does it take so long this time?" Zai Tianxiao was very frustrated. If he stayed here for over a month, what about King Lin, who was still waiting for him above? The system didn't explain clearly, and now it had given him a big surprise. Chapter 47. Queen Medusa appears. Chapter 47. Queen Medusa appears. Ding, starting to answer host's questions. 1. The person from the Hall of Souls that host devoured was formed postnatally, not a product born from the nurturing of heaven and earth. 2. Before host's transmigration, the yin-yang twin flames had already been absorbed by the original owner. This system merely redecomposed and reintegrated the heavenly flame that was absorbed at that time to allow host to perfectly control the yin-yang twin flames. Therefore, no time is needed. Since that's the case, why didn't you tell me this information before? Hearing the system's answer, Zai Tianxiao was somewhat speechless. He had thought that the system could immediately devour any heaven and earth spiritual object, but it turned out to take a lot of time. It seemed the system wasn't as amazing as he thought. Ding. Host did not ask this system, and this system does not know what questions host has. After hearing the system's explanation, Zai Tianxiao almost fainted. All right, it was his fault. He was wrong for not asking the system in time. System, if I go to devour other heavenly flames, will it also take this long? After thinking for a moment, Zai Tianxiao continued to ask, Ding, this system will evaluate the heavenly flame based on its intensity. If host devours a heavenly flame within the top 10, the time required will be longer. So troublesome. Hearing the system's answer, Zai Tianxiao couldn't help but frown and say, will I be able to perfectly control all these devoured heavenly flames? Ding, yes. Hearing the system's affirmative answer, Zai Tianxiao finally relaxed. Calculating this way, besides the unexpected time for devouring, everything else was pretty much the same. As long as he devoured all the heaven and earth spiritual objects on the continent, his strength would quickly reach the do-die level. No, I need to tell King Lin to go back first, otherwise, that little girl will probably keep waiting for me up there. Zai Tianxiao thought to himself. Although he couldn't leave this place right now, that didn't mean he couldn't use his soul power. Immediately, Zai Tianxiao sat cross-legged, and his spirit realm soul power rapidly spread upwards from underground. In a moment, Zai Tianxiao's soul power reached the upper layer, filled with fiery red magma. Looking at King Lin, who was sitting on the head of the two-headed fire spirit snake, cultivating with her eyes closed, Zai Tianxiao transmitted his voice. King Lin, wake up quickly. King Lin opened her eyes, her expression slightly stunned, and looked around. Lord Tianzio, are you talking to me? It's me, King Lin. I still have some things to do underground, so I can't go back with you. You let that fire spirit snake take you out, then go to the Mo Tai mercenary group to find Zio Ding and the others. After some time, I will come to find you. Hearing King Lin's question, Zai Tianxiao directly instructed her. Ah, Lord Tianzio, have you encountered any danger? A worried expression appeared on King Lin's face, and she quickly asked, No, it's just that absorbing the heavenly flame takes some time. Don't worry. Zai Tianxiao replied. Oh, okay then, Lord Tianzio. King Lin is leaving, please be careful, King Lin said with some reluctance. Remember, if you encounter any danger after leaving, let that two-headed fire spirit snake come out to help you. Zai Tianxiao further instructed. I know, Lord Tianzio. King Lin obediently responded, then gently patted the fire spirit snake beneath her. Hissed Tilda. The two-headed fire spirit snake let out a sharp cry, its massive snake body shook, and it flew towards the ground. Watching King Lin leave, Zai Tianxiao then retracted his soul power and refocused his attention on the heavenly flame in front of him. System, what's the progress of the heavenly flames devouring? Ding 2%. Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter. Continuing to devour. Sigh, no choice, just have to wait slowly. After hearing the system's prompt, Zai Tianxiao sighed, then closed his eyes and began to meditate. Time quietly passed, and in the blink of an eye, 47 days had gone by. On this day, a figure with huge crimson wings on her back suddenly descended on the desert east of Stone Desert City. The aura of a heavenly flame. The figure's red lips slightly parted, and she softly uttered a sentence. Immediately, her eyes flickered, and a red energy shield suddenly condensed. The next second, she plunged directly into the depths of the desert. A short while later, the figure arrived at the magma cave where Zai Tianxiao had stayed. Looking at the scorching hot magma below, a red glow flashed in her eyes. Immediately, the figure leaped into the magma, like a fish, quickly diving into the depths. At the same time, Zai Tianxiao also opened his eyes, a sharp light shining within them, and looked up at the approaching figure. She's here, huh? Watching the figure above gradually grow larger, Zai Tianxiao's lips curved into a smile. Soon, the figure also saw Zai Tianxiao and stopped about 10 meters above him. I've long heard of your name, Queen Medusa. Zai Tianxiao said with a faint smile. Medusa's beauty was almost to the point of being bewitching. A pair of narrow, pale purple eyes with their shifting gaze exuded an innate charm that could almost draw in every man's attention. She wore an elegant purple brocade robe, beneath which her delicate body was full and shapely, like a ripe peach, exuding a faint allure. Her long, dark hair cascaded casually over her fragrant shoulders, falling down to her slender waist. Beneath the brocade robe, a section of a purple snake tail was exposed. The tail swayed slightly, and a wild, enchanting appeal made one inexplicably feel a strange heat throughout their body. Who are you? This queen doesn't remember ever seeing you before. Medusa's gaze was cold as she stared at Zai Tianxiao, her eyes filled with vigilance and hostility. You haven't seen me, but with your fierce reputation and beauty in the Jia Ma Empire, is it difficult for this lord to recognize you? Zai Tianxiao said unhurriedly, his eyes as calm as water. Hearing Zai Tianxiao's words, Queen Medusa's eyes narrowed slightly, and a thread-like red light burst forth from her red pupils. The next moment, Queen Medusa's figure suddenly shot up, a long sword glowing red appearing in her hand, and with a whistling sound, she lunged at Zai Tianxiao, attacking him. Wasting your effort. Zai Tianxiao's expression remained unchanged. He slightly raised his eyelids and casually glanced at Medusa. Just as Queen Medusa's long sword touched Zai Tianxiao's body, it was repelled by the energy fluctuations emanating from his body, causing a trace of blood to spill from her lips. What's going on? My attack had no effect on him. Queen Medusa's face was somewhat pale, her eyes filled with shock. That strike just now couldn't even touch a corner of his clothes. She was wounded by the energy fluctuations on his body's surface. This human's strength was actually this formidable. Queen Medusa is indeed ruthless, wanting to kill me so quickly. It's a pity, with your Du Huang peak strength, you don't even have the qualifications to touch this lord. Looking at Medusa's expression, Zai Tianxiao's lips curled into a playful arc, and he said lightly. Chapter 48, Shattering Pride. Chapter 48. Shattering pride. Hearing Zai Tianxiao's disparaging words, Queen Medusa's expression was very gloomy. But then she remembered his overwhelming strength, and the high probability that he was a Du Zong, and Queen Medusa's heart couldn't help but settle down. A powerhouse of the Du Zong level was not someone she could contend with at her current stage. With such strength, your excellency must not be from the Jia Empire. My earlier action was merely unintentional. Please do not misunderstand, your excellency. After a moment of silence, Queen Medusa spoke. Misunderstanding? If my strength wasn't great, I'm afraid I would have been killed by you long ago, Zai Tianxiao said indifferently. Then what do you want? Queen Medusa frowned and asked. As the queen of the Snake People tribe, she truly disliked humans, even to the point of killing them at the slightest disagreement. Therefore, she initially had such an intention. If Zai Tianxiao's strength was very weak, even if he was also a Du Huang, she would not hesitate to kill him. It's simple. Since you made a move against me, it's impossible to simply dismiss this matter with a misunderstanding. After speaking, Zai Tianxiao waved his right hand downwards, and a massive oppressive force directly fell upon Queen Medusa. It made her breathing instantly difficult, and her body trembled with it. Damn it, is this pressure? I can't even move. Sensing the abnormality in her body, Queen Medusa's expression changed, and she gritted her teeth in secret. Zai Tianxiao's formidable power filled her heart with horror. But she was helpless, because his strength was beyond her ability to resist. Kneel. Zai Tianxiao snorted coldly, and then a majestic aura emanated from his body. What? Queen Medusa's delicate body trembled violently, her face instantly turning pale. Thud. In just an instant, Queen Medusa's upper body, along with her snake tail, directly knelt and sprawled on the ground. Although Zai Tianxiao only used a tiny bit of his pressure, it was still more than she, a Du Huang peak, could bear. Damnable human, once this queen breaks through to Du Zong, I will surely tear you to pieces. Queen Medusa's eyes flickered with a crazed light as she glared at Zai Tianxiao, secretly vowing in her heart. At this moment, Queen Medusa's heart was filled with humiliation. She was the proud queen of the Snake People tribe, yet she was bullied to such an extent by a lowly human. This humiliation made her wish she could immediately rush to Zai Tianxiao's side and hack him into 1,000 pieces. Looking at Queen Medusa kneeling on the ground, Zai Tianxiao spoke indifferently. This is the price for making a move against this seat. Then, Zai Tianxiao waved his hand again, and the restraints on Queen Medusa were lifted, restoring her freedom. You. Queen Medusa stood up from the ground, her heart filled with immense anger, wanting to attack Zai Tianxiao, but then she remembered his strength and ultimately gave up. She still had her tribe to protect. If she were to fall due to making a move, it would be a very great loss for the Snake People tribe. Therefore, after realizing she was not Zai Tianxiao's opponent, she chose to endure. Given time, as long as she could break through to the Du Zong realm, she would definitely repay the humiliation he brought upon her today 100-fold. This is just a small punishment. I hope you, beautiful one, do not make such a mistake again. Zai Tianxiao glanced at Queen Medusa and said indifferently, Human, one day I will personally kill you. Queen Medusa stared at Zai Tianxiao hatefully, gritting her teeth as she spoke. I'll be waiting. Zai Tianxiao's lips curved slightly, but you won't get the chance. HMPH, I hope so. A venomous glint flashed in Queen Medusa's eyes. She snorted coldly and turned to leave. Wait. Seeing Medusa about to turn and leave, Zai Tianxiao called out to her. Human, do you still have something to say? Queen Medusa turned her head and said coldly. If he still wanted to find an excuse to torment her, she could only prepare to fight to the death. He, beautiful snake, you came here for the heavenly flame, didn't you? Zai Tianxiao said with a smile. So what? Are you going to give the heavenly flame to me? Queen Medusa snorted coldly. She had already discovered that the heavenly flame was no longer in the green lotus platform not far away, and there was only Zai Tianxiao present, so it was highly likely that the heavenly flame had been absorbed by him. That's naturally impossible. Zai Tianxiao shook his head and continued. However, your reason for wanting the heavenly flame is nothing more than to evolve your true form into a 7-colored sky-swallowing python, so as to reach the Du Zong realm. What? How do you know my true form, and you even know the secret of my Snake People tribe? As the queen of the Snake People tribe, Medusa's true form was a 6th-tier magical beast called the Purple Fiery Serpent. This magical beast had a trace of ancient beast bloodline flowing within it. If she could successfully activate this bloodline, she could evolve into an ancient magical beast called the 7-colored sky-swallowing python. In doing so, her strength would no longer be limited to the Du Huang class, but would break through to Du Zong, and even realms beyond Du Zong. However, this matter of her using a heavenly flame to evolve was known to no one except a few elders within her tribe. So how did this man in front of her know? Secret. There's very little on the Fighting Kai continent that I don't know. Zai Tianxiao smiled faintly and continued. Besides, that's not important. What's important is that this seat can help you. Help me. Queen Medusa raised an eyebrow, looked at Zai Tianxiao and asked, Why do you think I need your help? As the saying goes, if something is out of the ordinary, there must be a reason. She hadn't forgotten the humiliation Zai Tianxiao had brought her just now, so how could he possibly come to help her now? Because you have no choice. Your ideal is to lead the Snake People tribe out of the desert and allow them to prosper. That's also why you chose to come here, even though you know the mortality rate for evolving with a heavenly flame is extremely high. At this point, Zai Tianxiao paused, then continued, unless you are willing to let your tribe remain in that harsh desert environment forever. Hearing Zai Tianxiao's reply, Queen Medusa narrowed her eyes and said, To have investigated this queen so thoroughly, who exactly are you? The other party not only knew so much about her Snake People tribe, but also possessed such formidable strength, which made Queen Medusa very curious about Zai Tianxiao's identity. This seat's sacred title. Never mind, my name is Zai Tianxiao. You wouldn't understand anything else, so there's no need to mention it, Zai Tianxiao said, shaking his head. It wasn't that Zai Tianxiao didn't want to say, but with Queen Medusa's current understanding, she simply couldn't comprehend the meaning of a sacred title. Some readers say that the protagonist always referring to himself as this seat is not good and want me to change it. What do you all think? If not, I'll reduce it. Finally, Medusa, this shouldn't count as licking, right? She has to evolve into a 7-colored sky-swallowing python. Chapter 49, you don't want your snake people to be destroyed, right? Chapter 49. You also don't want your Snake People tribe to be destroyed, right? Zai Tianxiao. Queen Medusa murmured a few times. After confirming she hadn't heard of this person, she coldly snorted, With your strength, it shouldn't be difficult to recruit a Du Huang Peak expert to serve you. Why go to such great lengths to help this queen break through? In Queen Medusa's eyes, Zai Tianxiao, with his Du Zong strength specifically offering to help her break through, she didn't believe he would do so without any conditions. There is naturally a reason. It is that after you successfully advance into a 7-colored sky-swallowing python, you must obey my commands and work for me. Zai Tianxiao said directly, Obey you? A guy who doesn't even dare to reveal his identity, why should I obey you? Queen Medusa sneered and said coldly. Because you're not strong enough and I possess enough strength to make you obey. Zai Tianxiao replied unceremoniously, You human, don't be so smug. At worst, this queen will fight to the death with you, Queen Medusa said, gritting her teeth. The fish will die, but the net won't break. Beautiful snake, as the queen of the Snake People tribe, you must care a lot about your tribesmen, right? What do you want to do? Hearing Zai Tianxiao's words, Queen Medusa's expression instantly darkened. He, Medusa, you also don't want your Snake People tribe to be destroyed by this seat, do you? Zai Tianxiao said with a smile. You want to threaten me with them. Upon hearing this, Queen Medusa's face immediately turned cold, threatened Zai Tianxiao said disdainfully. You're not worthy of this seat's threat. However, if you want to fight to the death, I don't mind letting them join you after you die. You dare. Queen Medusa's pupils suddenly constricted. She could abandon everything she had, but she could not tolerate others harming her tribesmen. This was her responsibility as the queen of the Snake People tribe. Why wouldn't I dare? Zai Tianxiao sneered, then continued, It seems the lesson I gave you just now wasn't deep enough. At this point, Zai Tianxiao's tone suddenly changed, becoming much sharper. Wait, this queen. I agree. Zai Tianxiao's change made Queen Medusa tremble with fear, and she quickly changed her words. She didn't want to be humiliated by this man again, and besides, she wasn't the one at a disadvantage. Once she broke through to Du Zong, she would slowly settle the score with him. Oh, then did this seat threaten or coerce you? Seeing Medusa soften, Zai Tianxiao said with interest. Human. Medusa glared at him but couldn't speak. Finally, she gritted her teeth and said, This queen is doing this voluntarily, it has nothing to do with you. Is that so? I thought that as the proud queen of the Snake People, you would choose to refuse again. Zai Tianxiao's lips curved into a playful smile as he looked at her and said, HMPH, now you can tell me which power you come from, right? Queen Medusa suppressed her anger and asked Zai Tianxiao coldly. It's fine to tell you, this seat has only recently emerged from seclusion, and I don't have any power behind me. Zai Tianxiao said indifferently. What? You're a rogue cultivator, Queen Medusa was stunned. She had originally thought Zai Tianxiao came from a major power, but she never expected him to be a rogue cultivator with no background whatsoever. Surprised. Zai Tianxiao seemed to have already guessed her expression and said directly, You should understand that with my strength, it's not difficult to establish a large sect, it's just that I haven't done so yet. Although Zai Tianxiao didn't have a sect, his half-saint strength was there. Recruiting disciples would indeed be a very simple matter. According to you, will you establish a large power in the future? Queen Medusa pondered for a moment, then suddenly asked. Zai Tianxiao nodded and said, I have that intention, but not now. What Zai Tianxiao said was also true. Currently, he didn't have the capital to do these things, and even if he could, he wouldn't do it that way. A suddenly emerging half-saint power would inevitably be viewed with hostility by other top powers on the continent, and might even become a target of public criticism. Moreover, Zai Tianxiao's strength was not enough to support him appearing in the Hall of Soul's sight at any time. This would be too troublesome. If that's the case, then for your future power, I will only act when you need me. As for others, this queen will not accept any requests. Queen Medusa thought for a moment and slowly said she didn't want to be ordered around by others. She had only agreed to Zai Tianxiao. As for everyone else, she couldn't care less. All right, I also don't want others to command you, Zai Tianxiao said indifferently. Seeing Zai Tianxiao agree so readily, Queen Medusa didn't feel suspicious, because in her understanding, a Du Huang peak expert who could break through to Du Zong held a lot of weight. Now this queen is very curious. The green lotus core flame has almost been refined by you. What method can you use to evolve my main body into a 7-colored sky-swallowing python? Queen Medusa suddenly asked. Although the heavenly flame has been absorbed by this seat, that doesn't mean I can't use it to help you evolve, Zai Tianxiao said. Hearing this, Queen Medusa was slightly startled, then said coldly, You're very confident, of course. Zai Tianxiao replied, If it were an alchemist who had just mastered a heavenly flame, they indeed wouldn't be able to use the heavenly flame to help a magical beast evolve. But Zai Tianxiao absorbed the green lotus core flame through the devouring system. Once devoured, his body would not only retain the heavenly flame's most primal horror, original terrifying nature, but also allow him to completely use the heavenly flame for himself. Therefore, making Queen Medusa evolve was a very easy task for Zai Tianxiao. Seeing Zai Tianxiao so confident, Queen Medusa said nothing more, but instead asked, How much longer until you finish refining the heavenly flame? 2 days. That long, Queen Medusa frowned. She felt that the time Zai Tianxiao was taking to absorb the heavenly flame was a bit too long. But thinking that she wasn't an alchemist and didn't understand this aspect, she said, All right then, this queen will return to the tribe first to prepare for the evolution. 2 days later, I will await your arrival. No problem. In 2 days, I will come to the Snake People tribe to find you. Zai Tianxiao replied. Seeing this, Queen Medusa no longer lingered. Her fiery red wings unfurled, and she soared towards the sky above the ground, quickly disappearing from this space. 2 days later, boom, a powerful aura erupted from beneath the magma, and immediately after, a dark figure appeared out of thin air above the desert. System, display my personal interface. Zai Tianxiao stood in the void, speaking to the system in his mind. Ding, a mechanical sound rang out, and a screen appeared before Zai Tianxiao's eyes. Host, Zai Tianxiao Realm, Half-Saint Advanced Soul Realm, Spirit Realm Low-Level Devoured Heavenly Flames, Yin-Yang Twin Flames, Green Lotus Core Flame Overall Strength, Half-Saint Advanced, not bad, not bad. After devouring this Green Lotus Core Flame, my strength has indeed reached Advanced Half-Saint. Zai Tianxiao looked at the attribute panel before him, a satisfied smile on his face. Now, he was one step closer to the Du Sheng realm. As long as he continued to devour spiritual objects of heaven and earth, he could directly break through and become a Du Sheng expert, being able to easily advance without arduous cultivation and without any drawbacks. This is the benefit of having a system, Zai Tianxiao exclaimed. To think that Zai Tianxiao, at such a young age, only 25 years old, plus his previous life's age of about 200, had already reached the half-saint realm, and he controlled 2 heavenly flames. If this were to be known, it would probably shock the world. Now that the green lotus core flame has been absorbed by me, once I've dealt with Queen Medusa's matter, it'll be about time to retrieve Yao Chen's bone-chilling flame. Zai Tianxiao thought to himself. Back in Wuten City, Yao Chen had asked Zai Tianxiao for a few months' delay. Half a year had passed now, and the bone-chilling flame should be almost at hand. Thinking of this, Zai Tianxiao waved his right hand, and a spatial rift appeared in front of him. However, before he could step into it, he suddenly felt several strong auras emanating from deep within the desert. A Du Wang and a Du Huang aura. Did someone attack the Snake People tribe? Zai Tianxiao was a little confused. Then he released his soul power, spreading it out around him. Wait, that woman is. Zai Tianxiao seemed to have discovered something, and a look of surprise flashed across his face. Chapter 50, The Injured Yun Yun. Chapter 50. The injured Yun Yun in the desert, sharp sonic booms echoed through the void. A woman in a plain dress, with a pair of huge azure wings condensed on her back, was swiftly flying through the air. The figure of this woman in a plain dress was like a floating willow leaf. As her body swayed, speed and elegance perfectly combined, making for an extremely pleasing sight. Not far behind the woman in the plain dress, 5 snake people of varying sizes were in hot pursuit. These 5 snake people also had pairs of Du Kai wings of different colors condensed on their backs, but compared to the size of the woman's wings in front, theirs were much smaller. Damn it, these sticky nuisances, have they caught up so quickly? The woman in the plain dress turned her head to look at the 5 figures behind her, an expression of annoyance flashing across her face. Then the woman in the plain dress stopped advancing, turned to look at the figures chasing her from behind, narrowed her eyes and said coldly, "You snake people are truly persistent, following me for so long. Since you don't know what's good for you, don't blame me for being impolite." As the woman in the plain dress finished speaking, the 5 figures flew over in unison, surrounding her. Ha 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 ha, what a joke. You, the sect master of the Cloud Mist sect, think too highly of yourself. Let alone that you've been injured by our queen, even in your peak state, if you met us, you'd have to temporarily avoid our edge. A burly, bare-chested snake person stepped forward and sneered. His name was Yan Sai, a Du Wang expert and one of the 8 great leaders of the Snake People tribe. And the woman in the plain dress surrounded by them was Yun Yun, the sect master of the Cloud Mist sect of the Jayama Empire. That's right, with our 5 great leaders acting together this time, we will surely make sure your soul remains in the desert. Among the 5 snake people, the only gray-robed snake person elder, Yinshi, looked at Yun Yun sinisterly and said, "Then, let's see." Lightly stroking the sharp blade with her slender fingers, Yun Yun sneered. Gripping the hilt of her sword, she used Lingbo Waibu and instantly vanished from her original spot. When she reappeared, she was already behind a snake person. At the tip of her sword, a pale azure sword aura surged 3 feet, thrusting cunningly and viciously towards the latter's vital points. Yan Sai, watch your back. Seeing this, the snake person elder beside him quickly warned. Upon hearing this, Yan Sai quickly swung his snake tail, his body twisting strangely half a foot to the left, narrowly avoiding the chilling sword edge. With her attack missing, Yun Yun's expression remained unchanged. Her palm released the sword hilt, and the strange longsword suddenly pressed against her palm, rapidly spinning, swoosh. The longsword, carrying a sword aura that could only appear after extreme compression, cut through the air and instantly shot towards Yan Sai's neck. Seeing the azure sword light attacking him, Yan Sai's expression changed dramatically. Unable to dodge in time, he immediately used all his Du Kai to protect his body. Bang! The collision of the blade and Du Kai immediately produced a dull explosion. Immediately after, Yan Sai's body retreated several meters, falling to the ground in a disheveled state. Her speed is too fast. A single person is no match. Let's attack together. Looking at Yan Sai, who was no match, the gray-robed snake person elder shouted urgently. Yes, The other three snake people responded in unison, simultaneously unleashing their respective dew skills to attack Yun Yun, courting death. Yun Yun let out a delicate shout, brandishing her longsword in her right hand, and charged forward. Clang, clang, clang. The collision of sword tips and blades produced a series of crisp sounds as Yun Yun fought fiercely with the 5 snake people. As time passed, Yun Yun's Dukai gradually became insufficient, and coupled with her existing injuries, she quickly fell into a disadvantage. Swish. Suddenly, Yun Yun was caught off guard and ambushed by Yan Sai. The fair skin on her azure-robed sleeve was torn, revealing a crimson bloodstain. In pain, Yun Yun was caught unawares and was struck by another green-robed snake person who charged over. Her entire body flew backwards several meters, landing in the sand. Well done, Qi Xing. Seeing this scene, the gray-robed snake person elder rejoiced. He, Elder Yinshi, you're too kind. The green-robed snake person, called Qi Xing, grinned and said, the snake person elder was named Yinshi, a highly respected elder of their snake people tribe, holding a very high status. Even other Du Wang experts treated him with great respect. Yinshi nodded, then looked at Yun Yun not far away and said darkly, although you are a Du Huang expert, under the combined siege of our 5 Du Wangs, you will surely be slain here. HMPH, if I hadn't been injured in the battle with Medusa, how would it be your turn to be so arrogant? Yun Yun stood up, wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth, and said coldly, Hehe, so what? You are merely at the end of your tether now. Yan Sai, Qi Xing, go for it, kill her, Yinshi commanded. Understood. The two responded and quickly pounced on Yun Yun. If you want to kill me, you'll have to see if you have the strength. Yun Yun let out a cold shout, her azure wings on her back vibrated, and her figure suddenly flew into the air. Then, the azure longsword swung, and a terrifying aura surged out from the blade. Wind's extremity, sunset radiance. Yun Yun let out a low cry. In front of the longsword in her hand, hundreds of illusory sword shadows condensed, striking towards the 2 snake people on the ground. Feeling the move Yun Yun unleashed, Yinshi's expression changed, and he quickly shouted, Yan Sai, Qi Xing, quickly dodge. Do not confront her move head-on. What? Before the two could react, the dense sword shadows struck their bodies, producing dull explosions and instantly sending them flying. Cough, cough. The two coughed up blood, struggled to their feet, and looked at Yun Yun in the sky, their eyes filled with horror. They never expected that this woman could still unleash such a powerful Du skill now. What's going on? She was injured by our queen, and after our combined efforts, why can she still use such a high-level Du skill? Seeing this, Yinshi also secretly wondered in his heart. In fact, they had somewhat overestimated their own strength. Even an injured 3-star Du Huang, if she truly fought with her life, was not something 5 uneven Du Wangs could kill. I said, if you want to kill me, you'll have to see if you have the strength. Yun Yun floated down and said coldly, He, Sect Master Yun Yun, don't be happy too soon. Yinshi snorted coldly and shouted to the other 4 snake people Du Wangs, Yan Sai, Qi Xing, Hai Du, Hua Shi Wang, follow me and form the 5 snakes' poisonous seal. After speaking, he was the first to quickly form a series of dazzling hand seals. Yes, Elder Yinshi. Hearing Yinshi's words, the other snake people Du Wangs responded in unison. Then all began to form seals. In just an instant, a massive dark green light rapidly condensed and formed in the palms of the 5 people. They had practiced this type of seal countless times, so as soon as they heard the command, they could complete the intricate seals at an extremely fast speed. 5 snakes poisonous seal, activate. With Yinshi's low shout, the dark green light in the palms of the 5 Du Wang experts suddenly burst forth. Immediately after, 5 huge dark green energy pillars, several zhang in size, shot out from the palms of the 5 people, intertwining and merging together. When this merged giant energy pillar appeared, a fierce wind suddenly rose in the desert, and an aura filled with blood and brutality abruptly emerged from the energy pillar. A moment later, the huge energy pillar actually transformed into a green energy snake over 10 zhang long. Hiss tilde hiss tilde. As soon as the green energy snake appeared, the strong winds in the desert became even more intense. Visible wind currents rapidly spun around the green energy snake, and the howling sound echoed throughout the desert. Is this the fusion dew skill of the snake people tribe? It truly is extraordinary. In my current state, I'm afraid it's going to be a bit troublesome. Yun Yun looked at the green energy snake, her brows deeply furrowed. Although she couldn't sense the specific level of this spirit snake, judging by the power it exuded from the air, it was probably not weaker than some powerful Tier 6 magical beasts. Today, no matter how much strength you have left, you must die here. As Yin Shi's words fell, the spirit snake opened its mouth and spewed out a highly toxic green energy, sweeping towards Yun Yun. Not good. Seeing this, Yun Yun dared not be negligent. She immediately activated her entire body's Dukai to its peak. A cold glint flashed in her eyes, and her body flew into the air again. Wind's Extremity, Meteor Slaughter. Subscribe for more amazing novel audiobooks. Don't forget to like, comment, and share Infinite Novel Audio.